properties. I don't know why that was having an issue. Anyway, hello. Um, I accidentally unplugged my microphone and it was having a whole conniption. But anyway, there we go. How you doing, Corpse? We solving murders again. Yeah, I'm hopping right to it. How was you ain't go to work? How was your day? a lot of it's a lot of things happening in this game. Like, why is she back from the dead? I really wish I remembered what the in-universe explanation was, but I don't.
Merry Christmas.
It's November.
Close enough. I'm in Iba's line of sight. Oh, I can't talk to myself and do stupid shit. Okay, let's talk to Iba first.
Mizuki went to Bloom Park 3 nights ago. She was prompted by a Nile message from Renju.
Mizuki, Daddy got caught up in something serious. Please come to Bloom Park's merry-go-round right away.
There are 3 possibilities. 1. Renju killed Shoko, or was an accessory to the murder.
Oh, so the main character is one of those don't play Christmas music until December 20th types? Listen, as soon as the clock strikes 12 and it's November 1st, I'm playing Christmas music. And that's just me personally because I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. So, like, in my brain, it just jumps straight from Halloween to Christmas. But hi, Shu. Welcome in. How you doing? How was your day?
2. Renju was threatened or blackmailed into luring Mizuki to the scene. 3. The culprit used Renju's phone to send the Nile message.
I feel like this excited to finally catch this game. It looks good. It looks good. Listen. It's a lot that's happened. I don't even know how to describe what's happened. I've been putting the videos, the VODs up on YouTube. They're also on Twitch. The first one is kind of it, you just have to watch. The first one I can't highlight properly because it was like split up weird. I like played the game and then I played Peak and then I went back to the game, so it kind of like has like a big old gap in between of where like gameplay should be, and I don't think it allows me to highlight different segments and stitch them together. So that one's not uploaded, but the last 2 streams are, if you would like more of like an idea what the hell happened in this game, because it's a lot that goes on in this game. It's a very crazy game. Oh no, I accidentally changed my keyboard to the Chinese keyboard. Anyways, there we go.
In any case, the motive is still unknown. We need to talk to Renju.
But where is Renju? Because he escaped the hospital.
Renju, where did you go?
Exactly, where is he? Because I don't know. I don't remember.
You asked Mama at Marble for information regarding Renju Okiura, correct? It is possible she may have something for you by now.
I asked MoMA for information too, but I had to promise him a meeting with Iris. MoMA can wait for now. Okay.
We can talk to Iris's mom as well. She was Renju's classmate, right? Iba told me about her.
If you have any questions, Shu, just ask. Cause this is like day 4. I don't remember like how it's set up specifically, but right now, this is what I'm doing. I am on. I am here. I made a choice here, and the path started deviating. I'm in I just started day 4, and yeah, it's a lot that's happened. It does have like files and stuff on all the characters. The album was updated. Oh, more concept art. I love looking at concept art. This is MoMA. Oh, I guess he been fighting a lot of people with rings on his fingers. This is Rohan. So Sejima. Oh, why they got eyeball on a little on a thingy thing? That's the sync thing. Concept art. I wish I could read that. But there's like a whole like appendix and stuff for like additional, I guess, context to clear confusion. But
I have done some research. As the name suggests, the company is owned by the Okiuras. The same Okiuras we know. Renju's father created the company.
Another connection to Renju.
No, actually. Currently, Okiura Fishery has nothing to do with Renju. The company has been managed by office representatives for the past 17 years after Renju's father died.
thank you to whatever mod did that. I don't know which one is here right now, but thank you. Appreciate the shout out for you. Twas me. Thank you, Quartz. Thank you. Actually, speaking of corpse. Yeah, there we go.
Renju holds no shares and is not involved in the management.
So why was it there?
In short, Renju did not inherit the company from his father, and it was instead given to other persons.
So why was the body there?
But it can't be a coincidence.
It certainly is suspicious.
Why was the body that wasn't really a body at the factory associated with the motherfucker that we thought killed her, or initially thought killed her? I Yeah.
I would suggest searching the warehouse again. You may be able to discover why Iris was resurrected. It is absurd. Not possible. Dreams are figments of the imagination.
Also, random thing, Shu, for context, this little squishy thing right here is his left eyeball. It's why in like over here his eye is closed.
An incident which took place entirely in your mind cannot have any bearing on the real world. That is preposterous. Consider it. If you were to find money in your dream, does your bank account balance go up in reality?
I wish.
If you were to be attacked by aliens in your dream, does a swarm of UFOs invade Earth?
Maybe not that one, but the other one definitely.
But at the warehouse,
You must have been hallucinating.
Did they fill the warehouse with gas or something? Like,
Within Mizuki's Somnium, you saw Iris's frozen corpse. It is affecting your mental state. Last night, you were so fazed by it that you couldn't speak.
if my eye came out and started solving mysteries and asking me questions, I don't even know what I would do. So Date, the one you'll see like up here, it's the main character. Date does not have any memories going past. He only has memories of the last 6 years. Everything past that he does not remember. Uh, his eye was gouged out. We don't know why his eye was gouged out at this time, and he was approached by the boss. Back the hell up. I see you next to me. He was approached by the boss, and she made him be part of the abyss. That has a definition that I don't remember. And they were a year later, he was given Iba to put into his eye socket. It's basically a fucking supercomputer in his left eyeball, and it's connected to a cloud that upload information, so everything that Iba knows gets translated to the company, and the boss knows as well. Everything Iba sees, they can see. And the moment that they're talking about, Iba actually was low on battery, and for that entire like scene, Iba was not like awake because it was like off. And now they're saying that Date hallucinated a dead girl's body in a warehouse. And I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say for that. Yeah, it's a dead body in the warehouse. They went to the warehouse, there was nobody there. And then they went to the girl's house and she was alive and well. So yeah, it's some kind of fuckery going on. Can't tell you what though.
If it bothers you to this degree, why not go talk to Iris? Her cell phone is on. I can trace her via GPS. She is currently somewhere in the Lemniscate building.
Iba jumped out of my eye socket. Okay, Iba doesn't have anything else to say.
Congressman Sajima is suspicious in more ways than one.
Very suspicious.
Exhibit A. 3 days ago, So called Shoko Nadami's phone. We still don't know exactly why. He only told us it was meant to be private. Exhibit B. So Sajima was at Okiura Fishery Warehouse last night, but he didn't inform us of this. There must be something he doesn't want us knowing. Exhibit C. So was in Iris's Somnium.
Did I just catch a mistake? They said So was in Iris's Somnium, but we were... This is the correct information. They said the wrong line.
Dreams are constructed from memories. Yet the good congressman denies he ever knew Iris. I sent him home yesterday.
You released him?
I mean, if she not dead, they can't like keep him on grounds. They don't have anything.
What was I supposed to do? We can't hold him without solid proof.
Right, like if there's no body.
What we saw with Iris hasn't happened yet.
You can see the future.
In any case, we have to speak with him again.
Let's go Raven Simone.
Stranger things have been known to happen. 2 days ago, Date found Iris's frozen corpse in Mizuki's Somnium. It must have been a prophecy.
Every time I see the cuts on her back now, I'm just gonna think of Corpse saying that she had... The cuts look like pot pie holes.
Boss.
Oh my god, it really is like that's a Raven, because when she would have her visions, it would zoom into her eye. AI.
There's a
Your
lot
mind.
of stuff in this world that can't be explained by science.
Boss's knack for change is one of her good qualities. Not having beliefs is what she believes in. That's how she established herself as a major player in the police department. Because she believed what she wanted to do. Not pot pie. They're airing out her back so the steam releases. Child, ain't no steam releasing from her back. She frozen.
Date and Iba saved Iris and Somnium. And that changed the history of the real world? Well, I guess it's not impossible.
That isn't what you said yesterday.
Y'all got any recommendations for computer speakers?
That was then, this is now.
I do not. I got some cheap ass speakers that I actually hate, so I am not the person to ask, unfortunately. Um, you could see if you can message like Smooth or Daz. They're the computer geeks.
A woman's mind changes with the phases of the moon, you know?
No, it doesn't.
Anyway, I believe in Date. I trust him more than anyone else in Abyss.
There are 4 people I should talk to. Sosajima, Iris and Hitomi Sagan, and Mama.
Wait, what did she say? Oh, girl, whatever.
And I need to check the warehouse one more time.
We have many avenues of investigation.
We're investigating.
Let's get moving.
She's coming on strong as hell, talk about how much she trusts you. Like, girl, chill, we're at work. They have known each other for 5 years at this point. I'm going to the warehouse first, just because that seems like I don't know. I don't know what I expect to find there. Hi, Jesse. Welcome in. With Iba in my left eye socket, I walked into the cold storage warehouse. I could see my breath. I looked around, shivering. Nothing seemed changed from last night, though. I hate this. They easily could have made a horror game if they wanted to be honest. This is creepy.
A forklift. It doesn't seem like it's in use. It was likely just left here. There are numerous cardboard boxes on the shelves. There is nothing abnormal about them.
All right.
Hi, I'm Jemimon.
Iba, the jokes, you've got to stop.
An oil drum. Also, thank you for the shout out for Jesse. I appreciate it. Doesn't have pockets though. The tires of the forklift and the grounder arm are clearly frozen. Okay.
A forklift. Nothing seems out.
That one's not frozen.
A switchboard. Nothing seems out of the ordinary.
Nothing seems out of the damn ordinary, is it?
There are only a few items on the shelf. It is likely that this warehouse isn't in regular use. It's a wooden box. There is nothing inside.
Damn, I really gotta...
You first arrived here yesterday at 9 p.m. At that time, lying on this workbench was...
Iris's dead body, covered with a white cloth.
But the second time...
The corpse was gone.
It was 11:25 p.m., but the body could not have simply vanished. Crime scene investigation was here before 11:25 p.m.
When did they arrive?
According to the report, 10:30 p.m., after we finished sinking with So.
Interesting.
It took them an hour and a half to get here?
Correct.
Why did it take them so long?
Unknown. The report does not specify. Perhaps a result of outside influence.
Outside influence?
In any case, there is nothing of note about the bench. Examining it will not reveal any further information. The crane on the ceiling. Nothing has changed.
Hallucinating a dead body is like Pretty Little Liars level Pretty Little Liars plot holes when the writers changed their mind halfway through the season.
Nothing.
But finding nothing may, in fact, be something.
What do you mean?
I was just thinking out loud. Let's get going. Date, your temperature is dropping. At this rate, they might find your body in here.
Alright. Boo. Let's go talk to the asshole. I've actually never seen Pretty Little Liars. I know my friend was like really into it.
So Sejima is a key person of interest in this case. Earlier, the boss cited 3 points of suspicion against him, and I agree with her assessment.
This is, for clarity's sake, this is the same squishy eyeball thing. So, yeah. This is his other form, but that exists only inside of dreams and in Date's head.
I checked the call logs of So's phones. Congressman Sejima has one phone under his name, and a burner phone rented under a fake name.
Did you find anything interesting?
Unfortunately, no.
Really?
But I do have something. I looked into So's secretary's phone. One call in particular stood out to me.
So she could have made herself look like anything and chose to wear that weird looking skin bodysuit. Yeah, it has like a weird dress part that's not really a dress. I don't know what the design was on that part, but it's a thing.
It was 1 week ago. From Fuchu prison.
From the prison. Oh, cause the fuck, the number 89, the prisoner number 89 had called and was just like, yeah, I know who killed Shoko Nadami. So he called. No, they called Sosajima. Interesting.
The caller identified themselves as inmate number 89.
See?
Number 89.
Yes. This is most likely the same person who called HQ.
I know who killed Shoko Nadami.
Interesting. What did he go to jail for? Oh, well, who is 89?
From what I can determine, he is an assassin.
Oh, lovely.
He accepts jobs from the criminal underworld for substantial rewards. His code name is Falco.
Falco.
Falco?
Correct.
We remembering something? We sure is. What's his name?
Unknown.
You don't know?
He is not registered in any databases.
So how is he in jail?
He could be a foreigner or recent immigrant, but it would be impossible to determine from where. However, I did not detect any accent in his speech. I believe we can conclude that he grew up in Japan. Murder.
Well, yeah.
He is serving a life sentence for multiple counts.
Multiple counts, damn.
He was imprisoned 6 years ago.
Everything 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Unknown. You would have to ask Mr. Sejima for that information.
Number 89 said he knew who killed Shoko.
He did, but that may be a lie.
Does he have any connections to the Cyclops serial killings?
Unknown. In all honesty, I have no idea.
Number 89.
Should we visit Fuchu prison?
No, we don't have time.
We
Call the
should.
boss. Tell her to request that number 89 be brought to Abyss.
Roger.
89 gonna kill somebody on the way to Abyss somehow, some way. The Sajima residence.
I heard there was no body found at the cold storage warehouse. Isn't your investigation over?
No. I hope you fall in this damn lake.
How many times do I have to tell you? I don't know that girl. I've never seen her before.
Date.
I knew he was lying. This proves it.
I am having difficulty determining his motive for lying. After all, Iris was not killed.
Maybe he's got a secret with her he doesn't want us knowing. What are you hiding so?
You are beginning to irritate me.
What did you want to talk to her about? What is the private matter you mentioned? What is your relationship with her?
I'll answer your questions when you present a warrant. Number 89? Who is that?
An inmate at Fuchu prison. He used to go by Falco. He was an assassin.
Odd, finding such a person in Japan. What about him?
About a week ago, he called your secretary.
I don't know anything about that. He was probably calling for a pardon or some such nonsense. My secretary probably decided it wasn't worth my attention. If you need information, you can ask her. I can't help you. I told you I will not answer that question.
Sorry, mom was talking to me. I wonder if we're gonna learn who the secretary is.
And why not? We didn't find anything there.
I got a Snickers bar if you hear a rapper. I open this Martin serves and stale when I get paid. So I can go ahead and get it. Wish you the
There's
best of
nothing to
luck.
hide.
Do it early in the morning.
It appears that he will not respond.
Haven't you people got enough? I'm very busy, excuse me. Oh, actually, I do have one more thing to tell you.
What, get the fuck off my property?
To be honest, Kaname Date, I don't like you.
I don't like you too, bitch.
I don't ever want to see you again.
I'm gonna be honest, if Date showed up at my house after trying to detain me, have to ask a question, I'd be like, no. Like, understandably, he's just like, fuck you. Because you detained me for the body. For killing somebody that's alive and well. Low-key not good at his job. He really isn't. He really isn't. He's a dumbass. But, I see why he doesn't want to communicate, but he's still shady regardless. Like, he still has some kind of influence in the death of this lady. We just don't know what yet.
So I suggest that you don't show your face here anymore. It's what's best for both of us, understand?
So walked away sternly.
Who does this guy think he is?
Shoot him in the back, I don't know.
Date, your blood pressure is skyrocketing. Any higher could kill you.
I could kill you, damn.
Relax, Date. We still have much to do.
I know, I know.
He is crazy. It's a couple of screws loose.
You need more info on Ren?
A couple? Oh, it's a lot, but I was being generous.
I'm sorry to waste your time, but I don't have anything for you.
I see.
Well, I could use a little help down there, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
I do not know what she means. Perhaps you should take her up on her offer.
Absolutely not.
Not too much on mama.
I find it calming.
Why is that?
Don't ask me.
You know about Renju and the Kumakura gang, right?
Yeah, I know. I heard it from his own mouth right here.
Do they have anything to do with the talent scandal at Lemniscate?
Talent scandal?
Maybe now they do, since Renju is the president of Lemniscate. But even before that, Renju and the Kumakuras go way back. All the way back to high school.
High school.
Hey, Date. Have you ever seen a dead body?
My man, what? I remember Renju saying that to me after he and I went through a bottle.
You're a policeman. I don't know what department, but I assume you aren't handing out traffic tickets. So, how about it?
I didn't answer. I turned the question around on him.
What about you?
Me? Well, yeah.
Well, you don't see in a dog.
Not just one.
Oh.
Countless bodies. When I was in high school, I had a pretty crazy job.
Oh, you were in the Yakuza.
You know the Kumakura gang? I was hooked up to one of their phone fraud scams. I just had to go collect the money from drop points and give it to the Kumakuras. It was an easy job. Eventually, I became friends with the higher-ups. They started taking me with them on jobs.
What jobs?
The target was always an elderly person from the country with no family.
Damn.
Elderly folk who owned a lot of land, you know? They live every day in loneliness and desperation. You just have to be nice to them. That's all it takes. Guys would get to know the old people and they would set up an adoption process. After that, you just have to get them really drunk. Throw them in the tub full of hot water.
Oh my god.
And they pass. Just like that. Heart attack, brain hemorrhage, or they simply go to sleep and drown. The police almost never investigated. It always looked natural, like they died of old age. So the adopted gang members would inherit the land. Then we sell it and make massive profits.
Wow, okay.
Just a lot of people get killed like that. And I've seen journalists get killed for getting too close to the truth. So Why am I telling you all this?
Work? Question mark?
Are you going to arrest me?
I mean, I should. You just confessed to seeing a whole lot of bodies and that you were like an accomplice, technically. I took a sip from my glass. I didn't say anything for a while.
You didn't do it yourself, right?
Still an accomplice. I didn't report it.
No, I was always the lookout.
Again, accomplice.
But still... Date,
No, because I'm looking at him. I was like, you really get very gay. But Tears fell to the counter, unending. We didn't say another word until the ice in the glass had melted to nothing.
Oh, Falco?
You know him?
I know him as a famous assassin in the underworld. Just rumors, though, nothing specific.
What kind of rumors?
He's good. 100% success rate, no evidence.
Damn.
He was a world-class killer.
Did you ever meet him?
Nope. I don't even know what he looks like.
So you probably did and didn't even know.
Any other info?
I know he's connected to the Kumakuras somehow.
Them again.
That's about it. I don't have anything else for you. Sorry I'm not much help.
Damn, I have gotten like zero information from all of this.
No, don't worry about it.
Can you come back again tonight? There's a regular here who is good friends with Ren.
Oh?
They should be here tonight. If you ask him, he might have some information for you.
Tonight?
Yes. I'll be waiting for you.
Is it someone in the Yakuza?
I apologize for yesterday. I arrived uninvited.
No, I'm grateful. Thanks to you, Mizuki has her voice back.
No, I didn't do anything. Today's a holiday. I suppose there's never a day off for a detective. Oh, but you aren't a detective, right?
Technically, yes. But I still deal with crime.
I see. Today is a holiday.
You forgot too, didn't you?
I've put Iris through so much. I was 19 and single when she was born. People didn't take kindly to that. But Iris was such a fighter. She always protected me. I remember, one time at the nursery, some of the other mothers were talking about me. Iris ran up to them and said, "Don't talk about my mommy!" I'm supposed to be the mother, but it's Iris who's always protecting me. They died when I was 17.
Damn.
I was an orphan, and my relatives lived far away. They might have taken me in, but I was already in my second to last year of high school. It wasn't a good idea for me to move that late. So I decided to stay here, by myself.
And take care of Iris.
Yes, all alone. But Renju would help sometimes.
Is he the daddy? Is he her dad? Her apartment is huge. What the heck does she do for work? She is a teacher. She is an elementary school teacher. And she's the teacher of Mizuki, who is the daughter of the blonde man that said, who was talking about like seeing a whole bunch of dead bodies and stuff, and also the daughter of the dead lady.
It was always just me and her.
Oh, she must be getting mafia payments on the side because I know she can't afford this on a teacher's salary. I mean, I guess like her bestie is like the president of a company, not president, a CEO of a company. I would assume he's helping, but you know, let me not, because the main character lives in a shitty apartment and he lives with the CEO's daughter because the CEO sucks as a parent. And then it was just like, here, you have her or whatever. I don't know what happened there. And we're in care of his daughter, but like it's a studio, so she sleeps on the bed and we sleep on the couch. And it's been like that for like 4 years. I don't think he contributed a dime. So I don't know. Maybe he playing favorites. I just don't know.
Vacations, barbecues, zoos, amusement parks. Just me and her. Oh, that reminds me. When Iris was 5, there was a children's theater show in Bloom Park. It was called Milky Moon. It was about girls as magical space rangers and such. She loved singing and dancing, even as a kid. Whenever she heard music, her body would start moving. It was a quirk of hers. And she did it at the show, too. Toward the end, when all the Milky Moon girls were dancing to the ending song, Iris climbed up onto the stage and danced with them. I tried to stop her, of course. I grabbed her arm and tried to get her to sit, but before I knew it, she was up there, dancing. And everyone was so excited. Even I was dancing by the end of it. When it was over, she had the biggest smile on her face. "Mama, you're a good dancer."
Hitomi is sending me about talking about having no friends and relying on her daughter for everything. Like, girl, you're 40. I think she's 36 or 37. Whatever. What's 19 plus 17? She's 36. Never mind. She's 36.
That's the kind of girl she was. Whenever she sees someone playing music on the street, she'll run up and join them, right then and there. Music at the train station, the crosswalk beeping, even at convenience stores. When their little chime played, she would start dancing. It almost got her into trouble once. She was on the jungle gym and a truck drove by. It was playing loud music out the windows. She climbed up to the top and started dancing, but she lost her balance and fell. She fractured her leg pretty badly. It was on a Sunday, and it was hard to find an open emergency care. I was carrying her on my back, running and running through town. I could still hear her crying. "Will I still be able to dance, Mommy? Can I still dance?" She cried and cried into my shoulder. It was the only time she ever cried so much. No, that's not true. There was one other time. "6 years ago, I was the victim of a shooting. After the surgery, Iris came in running, and she was sobbing.
Mommy, don't die! Don't die! Please don't die, Mommy! Don't die!
I swore to myself then that I would protect her, no matter what. Iris is everything to me, more important than my own life.
For context now, since she mentioned it, for the people who do not know, her right arm is like completely dead. She cannot feel this arm. She can't move this arm. She has a metal plate in her arm.
Did something happen to him? You asked me that yesterday.
I swore to myself then that I would protect her. Girl, you didn't want to swear that when Iris is about to run. You know, maybe it just took her a little bit. Like, you know, maybe it just took like 12 years for the motherly instincts to kick in. Hitomi is guilty because she got no house shoes on. I mean, it's her house. If she don't want to wear no shoes in her house, so be it. I told her about Renju's disappearance.
Right from the hospital? I'm sorry. I have no idea.
I don't know. Can I go in the room? I feel like he back there.
Iris must really enjoy dancing.
That's what I got. It was just like we had this whole long lecture about the dancing. It was just like, okay, but what did we learn?
Yeah.
Though her drawing skills could use some work.
Hi, Bushy. Welcome in.
Drawing skills?
Look at the drawing on the wall.
I've been wondering about that picture.
Iris drew it when she was 12.
That's you on the left and Iris in the middle, correct?
Yes,
And who's on the right?
the man I was dating at the time. It was only for 3 months, but I met him about 6 years ago.
Everything 6 years ago.
Have you been to the Kume Shrine in the Minato district?
Did we get a new location?
I was praying there one day, and I heard a voice. Well, more like a groan.
Oh.
Behind the shrine, I saw a man sitting on the ground. He was bleeding badly from his stomach.
Oh.
I took out my phone to call an ambulance, but he grabbed my wrist, and he held me, and then he kissed me.
And you thought you wanted to date him after that? Okay.
I was shocked, but when I stared into his eyes,
Was he fine at least?
then I heard footsteps. And then a bunch of men yelling. They were looking for him.
She would. No, he was fine at least. Well, she was touch starved. She gave a diamond a whole mom nothing. No, because like I would hope he was fine. You're just not doing this for any Tom, Dick, and Harry.
When the voices and footsteps faded, he let me go. Don't call an ambulance, and don't call the cops. I knew he had to be a criminal, so I took him to an underground clinic I knew.
You just knew what underground clinic? You couldn't take your baby to that damn underground clinic?
You took him to a mob doctor?
Renju's friend. I only met him once.
Oh, I have to
We
keep
really had
asking.
our first kiss seconds after meeting each other. It took a long time before I got to see him again. The first time we held hands was when we watched a horror movie together. The first time I took his arm was when we went to a haunted house in an amusement park.
Everything around this man just seems like death. Why did you want him?
But I wasn't the one who grabbed him. A zombie jumped out and scared us, and he clung onto my arm. He had that cute side to him, and I was falling in love.
In 3 months? Oh, I still have to ask what. God damn, can we finish the
Our
fiction?
second kiss was in the car. It's cliche, I know, but we drove around at night, looking at all the lights. We parked our car near a warehouse and kissed.
A warehouse? Did she say falling in love? Yes, she did. She also said she only dated him for 3 months. I assume the falling in love part was prior to like the end of the 3 months. She ain't say what happened to him yet, just that it was only 3 months long.
I don't think we ever said I love you.
Oh my god, it's the fucking warehouse.
But we both knew. We were getting closer and closer.
It's the warehouse where her fucking body, the body of her daughter, was found, but not really found because she's alive and well, but her body was there. We hallucinated, I think, I don't know. First date, him bleeding out in a shrine and kissing you. Second date, horror movie. Third date, falling in love. No shade, but I see why she's a single mom. She she's a little delusional. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. It's just a little bit. You can be a little bit delusional.
I I introduced him to Iris about a month after I first met him.
You introduced the man to your daughter a month after you met him. Actually, I take that back. This is too much.
Iris never had a father figure in her life before. She warmed up to him immediately and treated him like a real dad. From then on, it was always the three of us together. We would go to the beach, to the river, the zoo, the amusement park. Going to barbecues with another person was a new experience for me and Iris. Everything felt so fresh. Every day was so exciting.
So what happened to him?
Oh, sorry. You asked about the picture. He wanted to make okonomiyaki one day. He was working with the hot plate.
Okay, so wait, does she have more than one daughter? No. She only has Iris. What made you question? Can you turn the game up a little bit? What part? The voices?
Allow me to assist you. Allow me to assist you.
There is no master volume. Everything's separate. Let's try 6. I know when it was on like 8, Coffee said it was too loud, so I'm gonna go with 6 for now. That's like 2 up because it was on 4.
It was ridiculous. He was trying to flip one, and it flew up in the air and
Oopsies, I clicked off of it to do something else. Sorry.
landed right on my head. Iris saw the whole thing and laughed and laughed. I hadn't seen her laugh like that in a long time. I was having so much fun that I put an okonomiyaki on their heads too.
Okonomiyaki.
Plop, plop. I added the bonito flakes and mayo and sauce. At this point, there was no going back. Eggs flew, flour going everywhere.
I thought you said her daughter was dead. We thought her daughter was dead. We saw her dead body, and then we questioned the politician who walked out the place where we saw the dead body, just for us to go to that same warehouse, and the dead body wasn't there. And then we went to the house, this house, and the girl was just like, you know, the person we thought was died was just alive and well. So yeah.
The room was not a pretty sight. After our battle, we laughed like crazy. We were rolling around on the floor. So Iris decided to draw it. It's nostalgic.
And you like this man so much that you had this on your wall for 6 years.
But those days didn't last. 6 years ago, in November, a man with a gun broke into our house. Fortunately, Iris wasn't home at the time, but my boyfriend was. That's why the gunman came. He wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill him, and he would never stop. He pulled the trigger. I tried to protect him. The bullet hit me, but the police arrived. They were both arrested and incarcerated.
Why was he after your boyfriend?
Before he met me, he committed some terrible crime. I don't know the details, but it was awful. So he became a target for underworld criminals. I don't know exactly why, but I know that he betrayed them in some way.
May I ask you something?
Of course.
I had heard that incident was a random break-in gone wrong.
Oh. That's not true. I lied about it at the time, because of Mizuki. Mizuki is Iris's friend. If she found out, Iris would find out too. I didn't want Iris to know.
Know what?
That I was dating a criminal. He was her father figure. Iris looked up to him. If she found out about his past...
That sounds like a you problem.
Date, we can't spend time reminiscing. We have to get moving.
Well, I tried to get moving about 12 clicks ago and it wouldn't let me.
Yeah, let's go.
Alright, last but not least, Lemniscate.
I am so aggro right now.
She pissed me off.
Who says that?
Thank you.
Why are you angry?
You backed out on your Shovel Forge promise.
I didn't make any promises.
You promised me a date, though.
I did go to your house.
2 minutes before midnight. And you didn't even take me anywhere.
Yeah, because we only had 2 minutes.
We could have gone somewhere.
Girl, to where? The driveway?
Iturup, Kunashir, Shikotan, Habomai?
What?
Absolutely not.
Then you should have come earlier.
Well,
There go the lady. These are crazy. Let's ask the normal question first.
I want to too. We've been looking for him. We've been getting so many calls, it's hard to keep up with.
I want to know your measurements is fucking crazy.
Well, I like guys that like New Guinea fruit bats and yellow spotted neck turtles.
I cannot even picture that.
Why?
well, because it may lead to something in the future.
I don't know.
Date, we're on an investigation.
Let me fuck around just once.
Just let me have this.
Thank you.
That's enough.
Oh.
I'll come right out of your eye socket if you don't stop.
You don't have to do that. What happens?
I'm serious. I'm going to pop out.
Iba flew out of my left eye and started dancing on the desk. The receptionist immediately fainted. Iris saw the whole thing and also fainted. And so my story ended. The end. But I couldn't let that happen, so I decided not to ask her for her information. This is such a crazy thing, but because it's an option, I'm going to click it.
I'm 5'4".
Period.
That is clearly not what you meant.
He ain't specified which measurements. Good on you, lady. Okay, that's all with her. Where's Renju?
What about him?
I don't need to hide it. I told her about Renju's disappearance.
A traffic accident? I'm worried.
Any idea where he could have gone?
I'm sorry, no. Off?
Yeah, from school.
Oh, yeah, it's a holiday. So I decided to come to Lemniscate. We're going to do a recording for a show soon.
I know you were mad about our date, but why was your phone off? I couldn't get a hold of you.
Huh?
Last night around 2 a.m., someone visited you. Who was it? And you left the house as well. Where did you go?
You really want to know?
Yes.
And you'd do anything for the answer.
Yes.
All right then, Shovel Forge.
No.
Then go on a date with me.
Again, no.
Can she stop playing around? She irritates the hell out of me.
But you owe me for yesterday.
I told you I couldn't get a hold of you.
Objection. Even if you did get a hold of me, you didn't want to see me anyway, right?
No.
Until you fulfill your promise, I won't tell you anything.
Man, just play fucking Shovel Forge with her.
Iris, promise you won't laugh, but I saw something at the cold storage warehouse last night.
What?
Your dead body. I told you not to laugh.
But, come on, Date. I'm alive. I'm right here. Look, I can jump around. Woohoo!
Stop, I'm serious. In my dream, I saved you from being killed.
That whole section creeped me the hell out. Because I'm like, why am I just watching her repeatedly get stabbed in the back and I can't skip it?
And here you are. Which is why I was like that when I went to your house yesterday. Sorry, there's no point in telling you all this.
No, it's fine. Sorry for laughing. I just didn't know what was up with you.
Huh?
I believe you, Date. Maybe you were in a parallel world or something.
Another bizarre explanation.
I've seen him on TV.
Ever met him?
No.
Not at all.
No, not at all. So, what are we doing?
What do you mean?
For our date, of course.
Iris, you're too young for me. I can't be seen with you.
What?
I want to grab her and just start choking her like Homer does Bart.
Hey, what are you doing?
Everybody! This awful man! He...
Fine. I'll do whatever you want.
Really?
Yes.
Shovel Forge?
I will not.
So we'll go on a date then.
Yes.
I would rather just play the fucking game.
Yay! It's a deal.
Also, for additional context, Shovel Forge is like this in-universe version of Minecraft.
Damn it.
And you have to honor our agreement this time.
She really is a witch.
Oh, but we can't go right away.
Why does he hate Minecraft so bad? I don't know.
I have a recording coming up. I should be done by 3, though.
3 p.m.
Tessa, we're starting soon.
Got it! So, Date, meet me back here at 3? If you ditch me, I will be beyond furious. Anyway, bye for now. Peace!
Iris smiled and strolled over to the studio.
There is no point remaining here. Let's get moving.
It's just gonna make me come back to the same spot because I don't have... Oh, never mind. I was like, I don't have anywhere else to go. Guess we gotta check in with them like 3 times a day. 2:49. I returned to Abyss HQ with Iva. I needed to talk to the boss. As I entered the room, the boss smiled, like she was waiting for me.
I took care of what you asked for.
What did we ask for?
Number 89?
He's here.
Oh.
In the interrogation room.
Oh. We got like 11 minutes till 3. She gonna be mad, but whatever.
I'm on it.
You'll go without me this time. I have some errands to run. One of the higher-ups needs me. I'll have Pewter go to the interrogation with you.
Pewter? Okay.
Understood.
You know what? Pewter's kind of hot too. Fuck it. That's the man from the memory.
Let's get started.
He look evil as hell. This is how Toji from he looks like he's up to no fucking good. This is how Toji from Jujutsu Kaisen looks to me. Just up to no goddamn good. He did it, but he was in prison. So wait, is Pewter not in the room? Hello, Pewter? He had a death note? I don't know. I don't like that he's just looking at me. I'm looking at everything else because, like, why are you just staring at me like that? Okay. No? Okay. What's your name?
Number 89.
His voice kind of...
Your real name?
I don't know, I forgot.
We always just like, wait, hold on.
Djibouti.
You from Djibouti?
Northeast Africa, a small republic of roughly 900,000.
You was not know from no damn Djibouti, but whatever.
Take kindly to stupid lies.
I don't know. It's not like I'm counting. Oh, you know about that. It's true. I called Sejima's secretary. I got him on the line and I told him something very important.
You spoke with him directly?
Yeah. I told him to call somebody.
You told him to call Shoko.
Somebody?
What you doing?
I can't tell you anymore.
Why not?
All right. Let's get back to the topic at hand. 2 days ago, you called our investigation office. You said you know who killed Shoko Nadami.
Is this Hitomi man? I think this is either her man or this is who shot her. Unclear at the time.
That's right.
Who?
Hey, don't be so hasty. We haven't agreed on a deal. You're gonna let me out of prison, right?
Yes, I promise.
You're lying. You don't want to release me. That's fine. I was expecting this anyway. I just wanted a good excuse to leave the prison.
What do you mean?
You really want to know?
No, I don't.
Here's what I mean!
Computer, you just gonna stand there? Oh, you just gonna stand there?
You'll make a good hostage for me. Take me to the exit. Now. Oh, darn.
Are you kidding me? A criminal serving a life sentence just escaped from Metro Police. I ordered everyone to keep quiet about this, but it's only a matter of time before the press sniffs this out. We need to get number 89 back before then.
Hold on.
Number 89 still has it. But don't worry. I have a spare. I'll give it to you later. How would I know? After he got to the exit, he let me go. I didn't see where he went. I collapsed right there. He punched out an officer and stole his clothes. He put on the uniform and brought me with him at gunpoint. Well, he had the gun in his pocket, hiding it. No one on the floor even knew this was happening. He got on the elevator and made it to the ground floor. He even stole my security card. He said he'd kill me if I tried anything. I suppose the whole escape took him about 5 minutes. He must have planned this.
You're rather calm about all this.
I'm coming down from being terrified for my life. I'm in a bit of a fugue state right now.
Boss, it's my fault he got away. I'm sorry.
Don't waste time apologizing. Go catch him. I'm the one who has to go on an apology tour now. You really messed up this time.
Date, I know you are already aware of this, but there are security cameras all over this compound. I checked all of them. Number 89 fled in a car that was waiting for him.
So he had an accomplice.
Yes.
Did you see who was driving?
I did.
Who was it?
You and I know him well.
Renju?
Renju?
Why?
Date, Moma is calling.
Moma? From the Kumakuras?
I'll connect him.
Hey, Date. I just got the word. Renju's been seen.
What? Where?
Hey, don't forget our deal.
Deal? What deal?
You forgot already? I'm talking about Tessa.
Oh, right.
I'll be waiting. You know what to do.
What should we do?
We have no choice. We have to take her.
To MoMA?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Late. You're late.
I'm going home.
Never! Have you forgotten the vows you exchanged?
Are you drunk?
No, of course not.
You're drunk.
I kid. I'm kidding! I can't believe I'm gonna shovel forge with you. I'm getting excited!
We are not shovel forging.
I was talking about the dates, silly.
Shovel Forge and a date are synonymous, apparently.
So where are we going?
A really nice place.
Huh? A nice place? I wonder where. I'm excited! Where are we?
An office, as you can see. One belonging to the Kumakura gang.
I see. A gang. I see. This isn't nice at all. This is more like mice. Like rats.
Oh, Tessa, come on now. I'm no rat. I'm a friend.
Real suspicious for a friend.
Don't look at me like that, Tessa. That's no good.
MoMA, I held up my end of the deal.
You sure did. You want to hear about Renju?
Mr. Okiura?
Oh yeah, I haven't introduced this old man yet.
I'm 24.
MoMA is lying. He is at least 48.
Absolutely.
Sorry for not introducing myself. My name is Moma Kumakura. I work for a prestigious advertising agency.
You run the Kumakura gang, right? You're like a mob boss.
How did you know that?
Is he stupid?
MoMA may not look it, but he's a huge A-Set fan.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm a huge fan.
Gambling.
Bet, debt, A-Set!
Worries.
Forget, fret, A-Set!
Now what does she say?
A-Set, you bet!
Wow, my catchphrase! Thank you!
This is kind of embarrassing.
But sorry, MoMA. I don't like gangsters.
I don't like gangsters either. Gangsters are awful. All those nasty Yakuza guys should drop dead, am I right?
Sorry for bringing you here.
It's okay.
You don't have to be scared, Tessa. We're not thugs. We're just a gang.
About as contradictory as meatless beef.
The old boss was really violent.
He would take a cheese grater to someone's leg if they looked at him funny.
But after I took over, we went crystal clean.
crystal?
Methamphetamines.
No! We don't do drugs! We don't deal with that stuff! We had to restructure the whole operation. Cut a lot of people off.
Cut?
Their throats.
No! Not like that!
What happened to Mr. Okura? I heard he escaped the hospital.
So did I. But I don't know anything more than that.
Please tell me?
Hold up. What were you saying about Tessa's dead body?
Oh, well...
Date saw a parallel world with my dead body in it.
A parallel world?
Never heard of it?
Oh, yeah! Of course I have! Yeah, right! Parallel worlds and all that shit. Yeah!
I don't understand it, but I suppose he does.
Good, because I don't feel like explaining it.
But why would Mr. Okura do that?
I don't know. He could be a hostage or an accomplice. Either way, I need to find him.
Why do you care?
Can I have it?
What?
Can I have the ring?
Why would I give it to you?
Hey, can I have the ring?
Absolutely, of course you can. Here, take it. Wait, no. I can't give you this.
You're so cheap.
Come on, it's not like you're losing it.
It's exactly like I'm losing it.
Aww.
You guys are a good team. Like siblings. They're out. Looking for Renju. Besides, I can't have them here seeing me like this.
Good point. You said on the phone that you saw Renju.
Yeah, I had all my people looking for him.
So, tell me where he is.
I could...
Hey, I held up my end. I brought Iris like you asked.
Date, come here. Date, I don't quite know how to ask this, but... Can you ask Tessa if I can shake her hand, please?
Oh, that's it? Sure. Iris, could you do me a favor?
A favor?
He wants to see your boobs.
What the fuck, dude? I didn't say that!
Oh, sorry. What I meant was, he wants to shake your hand.
Oh, a handshake. Sure. I would never show my boobs.
Date, this is the happiest day of my life. It feels good to be the boss.
So how about it?
All right, here it goes. Renju was seen in 2 places. First, Sunfish Pocket, the maid cafe. Second, Ikume Shrine.
Sunfish Pocket and Akume Shrine.
Got it, thanks.
No problem, bro. Really.
Anyway, Moma, take care of Iris for me.
What?
What? Wait! You're leaving me here?
You'll be safe with him.
Are you serious? Look at his face! Not to mention he runs a crime syndicate. What if he sells me to the highest bidder?
Tessa, I would never do that! I told you, we're clean now. We all go home on time, we follow government regulations.
See ya.
Wait! What about Shovel Forge?
I told you I never promised to play with you.
But you promised me a date!
Date! Is this true? You son of a bitch!
I'm gonna ignore that.
Good idea.
Date, you're gonna look for Mr. Okiura, right? Take me with you! If you do, I'll tell you about last night.
Her late night visitor.
Fine.
Yay!
Date, don't ignore me!
A clean gang?
Oh, that's just a toy.
Oh, just a toy.
Let's leave them alone for a while.
We have 2 places to check. Sunfish Pocket and Ikume Shrine.
I want to go to the warehouse too, where you found my dead body.
Something bothering you?
No, I'm just curious.
Anyways. Well, they had opened the door and just left it open, and I don't like doors being open. I actually really hate doors being open. But I'm here. I'm back. I was here the whole time, but obviously, or else the game wouldn't be moving. But yeah.
Oh, and one more thing.
It's not a good idea to take her with, and it's not a good idea to leave her either. Like, why can't Dante make any good choices ever? He's not good at his job, which is what makes it moves the plot forward. He does stupid shit, which gives us, like, you know, more time with the game. Momo is kind of creepy, yeah. He's creepy. And you mentioning Bruno, JoJo's brainwash. He's such a loser. I need that. There was a lot of things. Date, I mean, I'm aware that you meant Date. There was a lot of things that I wanted to comment on and like give commentary on, but I don't like talking with that door open because you can hear everything, and y'all don't need to hear them. But Sunfish Pocket, that was the maid cafe that Renju owns. I don't know why he owns a maid cafe, but whatever. An Akume shrine is where you make me sick, corpse. 1 second. The time is it 5 minutes? I think I said 5 minutes. Is that 5 minutes? Move. Yes. 5 big ones. Okay. Jakara's gonna drink a big gulp of water right now. Give Jakara 1 second. Okay, so Jakara wanted to comment on the locations that excuse the hell out of you. Jakara wanted to comment on the locations that the locations of Sunfish Pockets and Ikume Shrine. Sunfish Pocket, Renju owns that place. Ikume Shrine is where Hitomi met her like little 3-month boyfriend. So the fact that he was seen there, and we remember the dude from the memory with Hitomi. So he either is the boo, or he shot her and was returning to the scene of the crime. I don't know. He's potentially the boo.
Can we eat somewhere?
That was a weird sound to come back to.
Food sounds good. I haven't eaten in a while.
Oh my god, I haven't. Jakara has not eaten today. Jakara did eat today. Jakara ate 2 bags of chip. Yeah, that was Jakara's lunch at work today. 2 bags of Doritos.
Oh, my chest hurts. Getting hard to breathe.
Let's go to the Matsushita diner first. Jakara thinks Ota, the weird little Pokemon motherfucker, is gonna be, because his family owns that diner. You also have not seen his mom in a while.
Hungry.
Tessa?
Yep.
Why are you here?
Ash Ketchum ripoff.
I told Date I was hungry, so
I've always wanted to eat here.
I'll have my usual, Ota.
Yes, right away.
Ota flew into the kitchen. Iris watched him go and took a seat. This looks really cozy. Jakara would like to eat at a place like this. Can I not go up? Can Jakara not go up? Excuse me. Excuse. Right? Like nice and quaint. Jakara finds it very hard to remember to talk in third person. Jakara only has 1 minute and 50 seconds left.
She's in the living room. I think she's watching TV.
How about you? What are you doing here?
I was just doing some meditation, lying on the ground.
He's lying.
He means sleeping.
Date, why are you with Tessa?
She don't want you.
We are
Not Shovel Forge.
on a date.
Oh, a date.
That's worse.
Huh. A date?
I'm on an investigation, and she wouldn't let me go.
Date, I have some delicious fugu eggs. I promise they're not poisoned. Would you like some?
No.
No thanks. I'm fine.
Yeah.
You gonna fart on its food? What? Why did you say fart? You could have been like, he's gonna pour something like Date is highly allergic to or something. You chose fart. Interesting.
My dad taught me when I was little.
You're making me something too, right?
Sure, my treat, Date. You're still looking for him? Well, like I told you before, I don't know.
5 minutes are up. I'm talking like a normal person now. Oh, he don't got shit else to say. He not wearing a helmet, a hairnet. This food will be contaminated regardless. Yeah. What's your usual?
Omelet rice. Ota's omelet rice is so good it gives me stomach cramps.
Is that a compliment?
Right.
You're embarrassing me.
Well, Ota appears to have taken it as a compliment.
Yeah, I have.
Have you met Ota's mother, Mayumi?
Yeah, but
Oh yeah, she called you a witch.
I don't think she likes me.
She called you a witch.
That's not true.
She hate her.
Mom is just jealous of how pretty you are, Tessa.
Not very reassuring. Whether out of jealousy or otherwise, she still doesn't like Iris.
Iris, about your coming back to life.
Now he called his own mother a jealous hag. Ota is not redeemable.
Hold it! What do you mean coming back to life?
I decided to tell Ota about Iris's resurrection.
Date jumped into a parallel world where I'm still alive.
Tessa died?
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. In my brain, I started singing "Bring Me to Life" by Evanescence. I was just like, oh, I wanted to sing it, but I did it. So thank you so much, Corpse.
Hey, can you tell me about this parallel world idea in more detail?
Oh, sure. How should I explain this? Well... Oh, I know. Let's play rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah. If we tie, nothing happens. We just shake hands. If I win, you have to give me something.
What if I win?
I'll do anything.
Anything?
Don't be weird.
Anything.
You also don't be weird.
Date, your heart rate is rapidly increasing. Why exactly is that?
All right, let's do this.
Oh, God.
Okay, let's go! 1, 2, 3, shoot! Shoot! Yay, I won!
Oh, no. You see, this looks like scissors, but it's actually paper.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, why did I throw out scissors? Why?
You're really not taking this well.
So, I get my prize!
I don't have any money.
I don't want money.
She just wants you to play that stupid fucking game with her.
Instead...
Yeah?
Can you pet my head?
Oh.
And say, Iris is a cutie cutie?
I would rather play the game.
The cutest person in the whole wide world? A cutie angel?
This game is just so absurd. Yes, it is.
Fine. Iris is a cutie cutie.
No. Put your heart into it.
Iris is a cutie cutie, the cutest person in the whole wide world. A cutie angel.
I repeated the whole thing while petting Iris on the head.
We just played rock, paper, scissors, right? I won and you pet me. But in a different timeline, maybe we tied. Or maybe I obeyed your orders and did something really scandalous.
Hold the fuck up, because that better not be a flowchart moment. Okay, we're still in this timeline. What did I just walk in on? Hi T, welcome in. I don't know how to describe that. Yeah. Look me. Thank you for sorry, patty on. Thank you for giving T a shout out. I just drank some water. I actually kind of just want to like take a little break and eat something. I don't know, maybe force y'all to do some spottles.
Rewind time, do it now!
I do not have that functionality.
So those timelines are what I'd call a parallel world.
So you think I jumped from a world in which you were dead to this one where you're alive?
That's what I think.
Huh. Parallel world, huh? I can't believe it, but...
Sure you can. Parallel worlds exist. Do you know about the Mandela effect? Or the Booba Kiki effect?
The fuck is the Boo Boo Kiki effect?
Or the 100 million balls? If I explain that, would you believe me?
What the fuck is that?
Sounds really interesting, Tessa.
No one asked you, Ota.
I know some urban legends like that. The spatial temporal man, and the lost friend, and the story of two sisters.
I've heard people talking about it. Yeah, what the fuck is the Bobo Kiki effect?
Date, look at this picture.
Irish pulled out a picture on her phone. It's a blue splat and a pink squiggies.
There's a famous experiment regarding this picture. You show this image to people around the world and ask a question. Which one is Booba and which one is Kiki?
Ah, this is Booba, this is Kiki.
Believe it or not, 98% of people asked have the same answer.
Booba sounds more bulby, more roundular. Kiki is sharp.
The rounder one is Booba, and the jagged one is Kiki. Isn't that weird? In other words, everyone thinks that Booba is a certain way, and Kiki is the other. It applies universally across languages and cultures. It's like something ingrained inside all humans. Like worshipping the sun and the sea. Or thinking that the mother is soft and the father is jagged. Regardless of your culture or background, you probably think this way. It's what Jung called the collective unconscious.
We're now getting into like psychology shit, okay?
There exists a second psychic system of a collective universal and impersonal nature, which is identical in all individuals. That's what Jung said about it.
Believe it or not, I actually have read that before. I did take psychology. I did fail, mind you. So don't ask me too much. Don't ask further questions about it. I didn't fail, but I ain't pass. I had a D. It was enough to complete the class. I did the bare minimum. Okay, the class is kicking my ass. At least you remember the theory. I remember the theory because it was also that same person came up in like something anthropology related. So I'd seen their name numerous times.
Think of it like bamboo. Bamboo stalks look like individual plants since they're separated. But underground, they're all connected. Human psyches might be like that too. That's...
Oops. Connected at the subconscious level. Sorry, skipped her.
The parallel world?
Yeah! You saved me in the dream, right? And dreams are all about our subconscious minds. So if you follow the roots,
you get to another bamboo stalk.
Yeah, something like that.
Do I have to talk about all of these? We'll talk about the Mandela effect
This
last
world
then.
is full of really interesting stuff. But you know the most interesting thing of all?
No, what?
That humans exist at all.
Yeah?
The universe developed in a very particular way to get here.
From an evolutionary standpoint, the existence of humans is intriguing.
If things were even slightly different, well, the galaxies and solar system and all of that might not have existed at all.
And that means humans would never be born. And even if everything happened exactly like that, the probability of human life developing is extremely low.
I don't know about a happy accident, but we definitely an accident.
And yet, here we are.
Do I have to ask both of them about all 6 of this? Can I leave? I don't want to be here.
Imagine a box full of ping pong balls, labeled 1 to 100 million. Would you be able to pick out the 1?
Not likely.
But what if there were 100 million of you?
Well, then one of us would definitely pick up the 1.
Exactly! The birth of humanity is so improbable that it's basically a miracle.
Like, I guess we just gave up apprehending that guy who escaped from jail. That was my fault. She said she was hungry. I chose to get food because I thought this would be like, you know, I thought this would be like inconsequential, and it technically is. Like, we're just learning about parallel universes, and us learning about this definitely means it's going to be some parallel universe bullshit going on. So it's slightly important to understanding the function of the game, because we already saw that there is a timeline, a flowchart that deviates. So it's parallel bullshit going on.
But if there were multiple universes,
Then it wouldn't be strange that at least one of them had humans in it.
She is describing the anthropic principle. I may have underestimated her intelligence.
do you know Nelson Mandela?
Well, yeah.
A flowchart and add the twins trope. I mean, what you call it? He had said something about 2 sisters. That's not the flowchart. There is a flowchart, yes. We started here. We did this thing. And then, oops. We did this. And then this is where, whatchamacallit, we have not done this side. We are on the blue side. And we're like day 4 on the blue side right now. And I don't like the way this is bending, so it's probably going to somehow reconnect down here, because otherwise it will just keep going this way. It's bending. Or it's going to deviate more, and it's going to be like, okay, you chose blue path, and now there's a pink and a purple path, and if you choose the pink path, there's not a white and a black path. So you doing the bending?
President of South Africa. He helped abolish apartheid.
He died in 2013, but a strange thing happened. When the news broke, people all over the world thought, didn't Mandela die in prison in 1980? That's the Mandela effect. It's when your memory and history have discrepancies. There are lots of examples, like the name of this kid's book with the bears having different spellings.
We were literally just talking about the Bearstein Bears the other day in Discord. I don't give a fuck. It's the Bearstein Bears with an E. Is it an E or an A? I don't know the actual one, but I always recognize it with an E. Oh yes, if you are not in the Discord, you would like to join in these shenanigans, you can always join Discord. We be in voice chat a lot, doing bullshit. You are more than welcome to join. You will have to read the rules and act like a normal person. until we get to know you better, then you can start acting not too crazy, but it's guilty. It's Bearstein. They Jewish. It's a Jewish book. I actually didn't know. Are they Jewish? Was it written by a Jewish person? See, now I want to look this up. Moo, because that's not what I was trying to do. Let's see. Bear Stain. Oh, it's the Bear Stain Bears with an A. One of them was Jewish. All right, that's all I had to do. That's all I had to know.
Or people remembering that Kennedy was assassinated in a 4-seat car. But in our world, he was in a 6-seat car.
Huh. I thought it was a 4-seater too.
I just simply do not think of the Kennedy assassination to think of what kind of car he was in. So, yeah.
Or that electric mouse from that video game. You probably remember the tip of its tail being black.
Oh, Pikachu. It's the base of his tail that's like a brownish color.
It wasn't?
Nope, it's all yellow. And the design didn't change.
Oh.
Lines from movies, company logos, historical events, and little things.
I wonder what the original Japanese version of this game has for Mandela effect dialogue. Like, do they also believe Nelson Mandela died in jail, or is it more Japan-specific stuff? I don't know, because this game does have the option to change to, like, the Japanese audio. I just never did it. Would have to look into that in terms of, like, the translation to English. Did they just throw that for the English speakers and whatnot, or I don't know, actually.
The Mandela effect is everywhere. Why do you think that is?
Because those memories are from parallel worlds?
That would explain it, I guess.
No.
So, there's
The
this
fuck
girl.
is that?
Let's call her B. She's practicing piano in her room.
The quantum psychic nerd?
And her little sister is watching TV in the same room. B asks her to turn the TV volume down so she can hear her piano playing, you know? So B goes back to practicing, playing a little bit. But her sister doesn't turn the volume down. She's not listening at all. So B turns around to scold her. She was really gonna let her sister have it. But she's gone. She's nowhere to be seen. She thinks, I wonder where she went. But then B hears her sister at the door. I'm home. B runs to the front door and sees her sister and her parents standing there. So B asks, when did you go outside? But her mom says, what are you talking about? She went shopping with me. B is really confused by all of this, of course. She asks her little sister about it, and she learns that her favorite TV show was on. And before she went shopping with her mom, she was deciding whether or not she wanted to stay and watch it or not.
So depending on her decision, a parallel world was made.
Yeah. What B saw might have been from the world where her sister stayed behind. I know a ton of stories like this. Like being suddenly transported 1 year into the future, and there's a missing persons report out for you. You look down at your phone, but you realize that it's not yours. It's not the one you remember having. You look through the contacts, and it's filled with names you don't recognize.
Sounds scary.
There's more, too.
Can there be less? I want to leave this place.
Like this town where everyone is Japanese, but they're speaking a completely different language. And all the signs and magazines and stuff have different letters. And it's not like Korea or China. It's the Japan we know, but the language is different.
That's a prime example of a parallel world.
I have to ask about all of this. Good God, someone save me.
Yeah, it's sort of like a common experience. A lot of people have experienced waking up in an uninhabited world they've never seen before. And most of them describe seeing the same person. The spatial temporal man.
Go ahead and just get the hell on and go ahead and hit the road, Jack, and get the fuck out of my face and just cry.
Hi, Coffee. Welcome in. How are you?
He's supposed to be an ordinary old man wearing work clothes. The spatial temporal man guides people back to the real world. He tells them, this world is not for you, or something.
I'd like to meet him someday.
I mean, as much as your ass probably gonna die, you might.
So, this elementary school kid, let's call him C. He goes to school and there's a bunch of things on the floor.
I guess they had to add the exposition somewhere.
Postcards, towels, a coffee cup, rice bowls, a sink, lots of stuff. But C realized that those were all things from his own house.
How did they get to the classroom?
No one knows. It's not like anyone did it on purpose or there was a thief or anything.
Child, he probably did not finish cooking. He's just over there doing bullshit. Like, stay out of our business and finish cooking our food. About to try to save this town? What town? This county?
Maybe something happened that made two parallel worlds fuse.
Yeah, maybe. There's this kid, A. He's in elementary school. Well, A had this close friend named Suzuki. One day, after school, they're walking home together.
Ah, you're in the rats part. Date go to the bathroom and leave. He could literally go to the bathroom, jump out the window, and just drive away. She knows him. They're friends. She'd be cool to just stay here. Granted, if there's any danger, he's gonna leave like a bitch-ass motherfucker because he left a 12-year-old at the crime scene.
A turns around to tell Suzuki a joke. And Suzuki is laughing his butt off. And he's laughing and laughing. And he laughs so hard that his eyes fall out of their sockets.
Ew.
What?
Well, they were hanging down out of his eye sockets.
It's still ill.
The nerves were still connected, but...
Don't describe it anymore.
A
Why
is,
would you
of
show
course,
a
in shock
picture?
and doesn't know what to do.
I'd leave you at the crime scene too. I'd be scared as fuck. He left a 12-year-old girl at the crime scene it was a dead body tied up. Mind you, the dead body ended up being the 12-year-old's mom. Bitch ass motherfucker. Bitch made.
Suzuki just takes his eyeballs and jams them back into his eye sockets and keeps walking like nothing happened.
Yes, the kid's mom. That's whose murder we're trying to solve. That's what all of this is coming back.
So A asks him about it. Like, hey, are you okay? Your eyes fell out. A is really concerned for his friend, you know? But Suzuki just says, yeah, I'm fine. He doesn't say anything about it. And by now, A is really curious. But he's not getting any answers. So they just part ways and go home. The story only gets weirder from here.
Can you finish the story faster?
The next day, A goes to school, and Suzuki's not there. A is confused and asks his teacher about it.
Like, why is he a detective? I can't breathe. He's terrible. To be fair, they found this man on the street and was like, here, be a detective.
hey, where's Suzuki today? And the teacher says, Suzuki? Who's that? There's no Suzuki in this class. Hei says, what are you talking about? And he goes and asks all of his classmates about Suzuki. They all say the same thing. I don't know him. There's no Suzuki in this class.
So that kid must have jumped into a parallel world without Suzuki.
That's what I think.
Couldn't Suzuki just be an imaginary friend or something?
No, Hei was really serious about remembering Suzuki.
It is weird, and there's no way you can pop your eyeballs back in like that.
Well, not necessarily. There's such a thing as a dislocated eye. It actually isn't too hard to put your eye back in if it falls out.
Ew. The thought of just like picking your eyeball up off the little the fucking nerve and just sticking it back in your eye. It's very distressing to me.
Ota is correct. Dislocated eyes are easy to replace in their sockets.
What if you put that shit in backwards?
As long as none of the nerves or blood vessels were damaged, there are usually no lasting negative effects either.
But that doesn't prove this Suzuki exists.
Well, I guess not, but...
There's an episode of Untold Stories of the ER. That's an episode of the Untold Story. Oh my god, summarize for me. We're done. Yes! Let's leave!
When did you two get so knowledgeable?
Oh, I don't know.
Tessa is always writing about this stuff on the internet. That's why I decided to research it too. That's how I learned all this stuff. Oh, hey, I know about conspiracies and secret societies too. I find that stuff fascinating.
I see. So you're the reason. Hold on. Where is it? It's a percent. You're the reason we have this tab. Got you. It's Herb Island? The largest island in the Kuril Island chain between Japan and Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. Both countries claim this land as their territory. Because of the delicate situation, I had better not write my opinion here. Oh. They're teaching you about the Illuminati here? Ciao. Oh yeah, this is the Shovel Forge one. The Shovel Forge is a parody of a popular game in the same genre, which I cannot mention for legal reasons. Phenylethylamine? A substance in the brain that serves a kind of love hormone. When this hormone is secreted from the pituitary gland, people start saying things like, I love him so much I can barely breathe. Psychological effects such as a pounding heart are also common. It's been many years since this hormone has been secreted in my brain. Oh. Okay. A social networking service that allows you to exchange instant messages via smartphones and PC. My dream is to one day make stamps for this application. What the fuck are you talking about? A stress hormone? This is secreted on a daily basis by the author. Okay. The agent that performs the sync. How about that? No, because what the fuck are we talking about? Oh, wait. Am I dumb? Oh, God. I thought they said JoJo's. I have brain rot. I thought this was it. What do you mean there's more pages? I don't like that. This doesn't have more pages. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people we have not met. They just teach you about anything. They really do. What more do we know about Shoko? This is who died, by the way. You have a lot of JoJo's. Did you go and subscribe to the lady that did the JoJo's cosplay? I followed, yes. Got you. Gotta support my people. Oh my god, Chris, thank you. Thank you for the biddies. I appreciate it. Is that a Josuke one? They have a Josuke emote. Okay. I'm not gonna get too much into that, but
If you want, we could talk about those.
I don't want to.
Maybe next time.
You already talked my ear off.
Where's that omelet rice?
Done.
Ota brought the dish over. This better be the best shit ever. That look. Iris grabbed her spoon with a huge smile on her face.
Bon appetit!
She picked up a spoonful. Is it burnt? I don't know. No, actually, she tried to pick up a spoonful. Huh?
Tessa, are you okay?
I'm fine. My hand slipped. Let's eat.
Iris and I ate the omelet rice in near silence. What the fuck? What was that? There was no conversation, just the sound of the spoon hitting the plate. The diner echoed with it. And before long...
Ah, thanks for the food!
Iris was totally re-energized. Her face was back to her usual easy smile.
That was good. Ota, your omelet rice is seriously the
Oh,
best.
not the glitch in the...
Yeah, it was actually really good.
Aw, thanks. I owe it to my dad. He taught me well.
I paid for the food and stood to go.
Let's get going, Iris.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Come back soon.
No, we won't. Do I really have to bring her along for all of this? Oh my god. Why couldn't my sidekick be someone more serious? Someone who was less annoying?
I saw it. I'm sure. Your corpse, Iris. Right here.
But I'm here now. Maybe I'm a ghost.
You don't look like a floating sheet. You have legs.
But maybe they're not legs. Maybe they're my boobs.
I'm not reading that sentence. I'm cool.
Didn't you say that you saved me in your dream?
They were trying to do an Ace Attorney thing with the unserious duo, but she's just too irritating. I really think they did, and it's just like Phoenix is really good at his job, but not in like he knows everything about his job. He lands into his answers a lot of the times. I love Ace Attorney. Um, them don't know what he doing for real. Uh, and Maya was like a little sister. I loved Maya. I I hate her. I hate Iris. She aggravates me, and I know she's gonna be with me the whole game. So, just buckling in.
What did you mean by that?
I told you that I'm with an organization called Abyss, right?
And I do know she's like a fan favorite, so it's just like we're in the minority.
Yeah, you told me 2 days ago.
We find clues in the minds of suspects and witnesses. We enter what we call Somnium, a dream world projected by their subconscious. That's what the entire organization is about.
How do you even do that?
We have a machine that we call the sync machine.
What is that?
It's a sync machine.
That's not an explanation. Tell me how it works.
Well, I can explain, but it will require a bit of background to understand.
Background?
I don't think I've noticed that in the background before. The big ass saw. She wouldn't be so bad if she wasn't trying so hard to be quirky, and the clinginess is really off-putting. It is. Do you know about nanotechnology?
Nanotech? Yeah. Technology related to really small things. Like really teeny tiny things. And when they make a machine, they're called nanomachines. I heard they use them a lot for medical and tech fields. Some of the cutting-edge nanomachines can even go inside your body and cure illnesses. They can even cure cancer. And they go beep, beep, beep. Well, I don't know if it was like beep, beep or rrr. But anyway, nanotechnology costs tons of money. Only a few people can even afford it. My college professor said only the richest of the rich have nanotechnology. But he's pretty liberal, so...
Largely accurate. Nano is a prefix meaning 10 to the negative 9th power. A nanometer is therefore 0.0000000001 meters. The sync machine uses machines approximately 2.16 nanometers long. Viruses are on average 20 to 970 nanometers. So sync nanomachines are far smaller than that. This allows them to access neural circuitry. During a sync, the nanomachines are used to write in the syncer's data.
The BBB, the Better Business Bureau?
I've heard of it. The blood-brain barrier, right?
Oh.
Inside the skull, there's an army of little teeny tiny soldiers that surround the brain.
What the fuck does she be reading? Isn't she like 17?
They protect the brain from bad stuff in the blood, right?
That's almost it, yeah.
The blood-brain barrier describes the architecture of the microvessels of the brain. It is a kind of shield that protects the brain. To get through, an object must be no larger than 0.4 nanometers. Objects too large to slip through the barrier cannot physically access the brain.
I guess not.
No, I know what it is. It's the core programming behind AI, right?
That's right. What's wrong?
What?
You're shivering.
It's nothing. Don't worry about it.
To borrow Pewter's explanation, with the advent of the Wadjet system, we can extract the data of the human psyche. This data is sent to the brain, which achieves the sync.
Okay, you have the basics down. Let me explain how syncing works. Syncers like me equip the sync gear and use it to access the subject's brain. Inside the helmet are nanocables. And on the tip of each of these cables is a special nanomachine. But the machine can't reach the brain through blood alone. Do you know why?
The BBB soldiers say go away and push them back?
Well, yeah, kind of. But for the sync to work, we have to get the nanomachines into the brain itself. How do we do that?
Drill a hole in the skull?
No.
In Shovel Forge, you can use a pickaxe and—
No, it has nothing to do with tools. We don't have to open a hole. Skulls already have holes in them. One of those holes is the optic canal, which is a nerve canal located behind the eyes. The nanocables of the sync gear go through your eyes, then go to the back of your eye socket, then through the optic canal to the sea.
The sea?
The sea of brain cells, anyway.
That sounds kind of romantic.
It's only a chunk of protein.
Once the nanocables arrive at their destination, they can begin the sync process. They slide into the brain like roots of a tree. And on the tip of each cable, the nanomachine sends and receives data. This is controlled by the Wadjet system. And that's how the syncer and the subject exchange information.
Exchange?
Think of it this way. The human brain has a max capacity of one psyche, one consciousness.
Multiple instances of consciousness inside one brain can cause a total collapse of higher brain functions.
You know how a car only has one steering wheel? If there were two, there would be accidents all over the place.
Well, don't some planes have 2 control sticks?
Okay, maybe it wasn't the best metaphor. What I'm trying to say is that the human body can only hold one person. If you try to have 2 people inside one brain, it will break.
I see.
Because of this, the syncer's data goes inside the subject's brain. And the only thing inside the subject's mind at the time of the sync are their memories. Like a house with no one inside. We syncers break into the house, look for clues, and leave. All within 6 minutes.
There's a time limit?
Yes, or else the house will collapse on our heads.
The neural circuits would become too deeply entwined with one another. To put it simply, the syncer would be trapped inside the subject's house.
Thank you for explaining it. I don't completely understand how sync works, but still.
Just don't tell anyone. This is extremely confidential.
It's okay, I won't. Date, tell me this. Who did you sync with yesterday?
Didn't I show you his picture? Congressman Sojima.
So that's why you know so much about him.
But you've never met him, right?
I haven't, I swear. Hey, Date, you saw my corpse here, right?
I did. I'm sure of it.
And in SoStream, you saved me from getting killed.
Yeah.
And then somehow, I resurrected.
Yeah.
Date, that means you're... Achoo!
Date, is the cold too much for Iris?
Yeah, I'm freezing too. Iris, let's get out of here for now.
Roger that!
Wow, this is surprising. What's going on here? Why are you two together?
Oh, well, it's...
Forget it. Thanks for letting me stay last night.
Oh, no trouble at all. Anytime. You could even live with me if you want.
That's a great idea. The roommate I have right now really sucks.
This girl.
What are you gonna do, scold me or something? Why do you care what I do?
Mizuki is 12.
Why are you so angry?
I'm not angry. In fact, I'm feeling good.
Excuse me.
No, this is Mizuki here. This is an unnamed mermaid girl person. She works here. One second. I'm back, my bad. What's that one,
Mizuki was crying earlier.
what's that fucking song? Is it alright since not tragedy? Haven't you people heard of closing the goddamn door? 'Cause that's what I feel. I'm gonna just let this auto.
Crying?
Yes. We were trying to cheer her up. What happened to her mom was... And we thought she was having a hard time. She must have come here looking for company. That's probably why she stayed with Iris last night. She didn't want to be alone.
Shoko's body is still under the jurisdiction of the police. There has not been a ceremony, nor has the body been cremated. The culprit has not been caught, and we cannot locate Renju. And on top of that, her roommate has abandoned her.
I did not abandon her.
In any case, there are many ways you could calm Mizuki down.
Mizuki is just trying to act strong. Please, try to understand.
Why are you asking me about that?
I was just curious.
That company was made by my grandpa, but Daddy has nothing to do with it. I don't know anything about the warehouse. I thought I told you this already. Don't ask me the same questions over and over.
Date, look.
She's lying?
Possibly. She may just be excited or upset.
The police asked me a bunch of questions, but I don't know where he is.
I've heard that Renji was sighted here.
When do you mean?
When? I got the info a few minutes ago, but I don't know when he was seen.
Oh.
Ringing any bells?
Well, he hasn't come by today, but yesterday.
Yesterday? But I was here yesterday.
It was after that. After you and Ota left.
Why didn't you tell me sooner?
You didn't ask. And I don't have any way to contact you.
Damn it.
We just missed him.
He was looking for Iris. He was asking everyone where she was.
Looking for me?
Yeah.
Did he give a reason?
No, not in particular.
Iris, can you think of why he would be looking for you?
No, not at all.
Mizuki?
I don't know either.
Anything else? Well, he did seem really sick. He was pale and sweating a lot.
Must have been because of the accident.
Perhaps.
Mizuki comes here a lot. She's really friendly with everyone.
I like it here. Everyone treats me nice.
Is it because you're the daughter of the owner?
No, it's not like that.
We're BFFs.
She wields extraordinary power with that trident.
The Okiura family is really something else.
I put it on audio because I was eating, but I'm done now. The way Date can flirt with like every NPC, he's kind of a pig. Oh, he is. He's a pervert. Like, you see how like I click, I can't like give. You see how there's no X-ray, but the mermaid has an X-ray.
Those are some nice hip bones.
Like, only a pervert would say that.
Well, a triple wart sea devil or an Anacanthus barbatus.
That's a mouthful.
Okay.
She's my friend from back when I worked here. We would hang out outside of work, too. We'd go to haunted places and UFO sightings and stuff. Blow those boys away!
We don't know her name. Like, she's never been given a name.
Yeah, blow those boys.
No, blow those boys away.
Mizuki,
You have to add away, Mizuki.
You really shouldn't say that.
You really shouldn't say that. One more second. So I'm back. Um, yeah, that was a crazy line. Anyways, can't say anything else to her. Can't say anything else to her.
Mr. Okura helped me when I was just starting out. You know
Thank
how
you,
my mom is
thank you.
single? He really supported her.
I feel like you heard his illegitimate daughter.
He even changed my diaper when I was a little baby. I got hired by Lemniscate all because of him.
Nepotism.
Iris used to stream all her own content. Like singing and dancing and gaming and stuff. But before we knew it, she went viral.
Right, I heard about that. That's how she started getting offers, right? But because Iris's mom knows Renju, she decided to go with Lemniscate.
But there's more to it than that. There are other reasons. Daddy was totally taken in by her talent.
Her talent?
Dancing, really. Her dancing is what got her into Lemniscate. He knew ever since she was young that she would be talented. He didn't want any other agencies to have her.
I didn't know that.
Daddy's not the type to give compliments.
I hate the implications of this line, because that means he does not compliment his own daughter. And we also know that her mom sucks. So yeah.
This is kind of embarrassing. I didn't know he thought of me that way. More than sleeping and eating? Well, maybe about the same as eating.
I do apologize for the order that I did this in, because I'm pretty sure the shrine will most likely be where Renju is and will have like the most story content.
Anyway, I've always loved moving my body, ever since I was a little girl.
And you're fast, too.
Yeah, I did a lot of track meets.
Were you always the anchor?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Hey, want to hear something cool? Iris is the goddess of rainbows in Greek mythology.
Yes, I know.
She's the messenger of the gods. She's really fast.
Rainbows being so fast to disappear was the source of the legend.
You're as fast as your namesake then.
You want to race?
Sure. Let me get the chance.
Right here?
Oh, I want to see too.
Me too.
I would also like to see that.
I don't know.
Come on, just show us.
But... Alright, I'll go set up. Wait!
The mermaid didn't listen and hurried off. How long have I been streaming?
Jeez.
2 hours and 41 minutes? Okay.
Fine, if you insist. Yay!
Iris, we're ready.
Alright, world, get ready! See my dance! Invincible Rainbow Arrow! Hit it!
This is a very serious game, by the way.
Teacups that are flying, on maps mystifying. You'll think that I'm lying. This old tale of mine, a journey through time. A permanent fire, cold frost on the pyre. Fruit never expires. You've seen in your eyes, you've seen in your mind. While the old bow their heads, while the blind meet the blind, the marble loses shine. The eye clouds by design, but we know in our soul the one hope, the one truth, that if we believe we can make miracles. Even with the dabbles of time against you, never let the fire.
It's giving survival show performance. It very much was. You're not a good one either, but it's over.
That song. Mr. Okiura wrote the music, and I wrote the lyrics.
Rank 87 eliminated by episode 4 is crazy. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever actually seen like an actual like survival show. The closest I've seen was Dream Academy with Cat's Eye, and that wasn't like a traditional survival show setup, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what it'd be like for real. I would like to say that's the last time you'll see this dance in this game. I know for a fact it's not. So enjoy.
So it holds a special place in my heart.
That's right. I forgot he wrote music.
Yeah, he's really talented. I look up to him. He's done so much for me. I know I can rely on him more than anyone else.
Thank God I missed it. It's crazy. All right, girl, you gotta tell me where the fuck?
Iris, I still need to know. What were you doing Sunday at 2 a.m.?
You haven't fulfilled your promise.
This is the date. I fulfilled my promise.
I told you, no info until the date is complete. Don't you get it? This date isn't over yet.
Unfortunately, we didn't find Renju here.
But we discovered that he was looking for Iris.
But why?
But she's holding information. Like, she went missing for an entire day. We found her dead body, and then later that same day, she was alive and well. We don't know what the hell happened that day, and she's refusing to tell us until Date goes on a date with her or played a stupid fucking game with her, and he refuses to play the game. So now he's forced to drag her along in all of this bullshit, and we just have to suffer with her.
We can think about that later. Let's get going.
Yeah, you're right.
Last place, Ukume Shrine. This is the first time we've been here, which is another reason why I don't like her. Just like, you're holding in for, you're essentially blackmailing him. Just for what? So you can go on cool adventures? Leave him alone. Like, if I could remove a character from this game, it would be her. But she's integral to the game. She's literally on the cover art of the game along with Date
okay?
and Aiba.
It's okay. I just, missed a step there.
Huh. Chozuya. I don't know. I kind of want her to die. You gonna be in VC later or not? Nah? What time is it? 12:20? Oh. I could be in there till like 2:30 a.m. to be honest.
Mr. Okiura isn't here. I mean, of course he isn't. It's not like we came here right away.
He's already taken off.
Too bad.
It looks like there are no further clues here. It appears we've wasted our time.
It's nostalgic. This place is a memorable one for me. 6 years ago, I used to come here with someone.
Someone?
I used to call him Uncle. He was a thoughtful, reliable man. I thought of him as a father. But one day, he just disappeared.
She's talking about...
Hitomi's lover.
It's called Ikume Iribiko Isachi no Mikoto, or sometimes Ikume Tenno, or Ikume no Mikoto. There are legends about this place written in the old text. It's a shrine dedicated to the gods. The old legend goes like this. One day, Ikume Iribiko sent one of his followers, Taji Momori, on an urgent quest to find a mysterious magical fruit. A fruit called Tokijiku no Kaku. It's said that eating it will grant you immortality. After many hardships, Taji Momori was able to find the fruit. But by the time he got back, Ikume Iribiko had died. Taji Momori mourned. He handed half of the fruit to the man's wife, and he left the other half on Ikume Iribiko's grave, then died on the spot. It is said that that fruit is still inside the shrine behind us.
Really? The fruit of immortality.
Yes. Not interested?
No, not really. I'd rather have normality than immortality.
A flower over there.
Flower?
You can't see it from here, can you? I know it's there because I've been to this shrine before.
I'm trying to like click off of it, but
An iris. More specifically, a winter iris.
she loves herself some. My mom was like in the room. If you just hear me, or if like you hear, well, don't hear me, and like I'm talking and then I just stop talking, it's because they walked into the general area where I am. So I just mute. Also random, I found out my therapist loves the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I've never seen that. Parents calling, not calling parents, partners, uncle and auntie being universal. There is like a whole like family tree, lineage tree, whatever you want to call it. And with like anthropology, it's sometimes, yeah, that happens. And also like you'd be surprised how many cultures have like very 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 specific like names. Like if it's like the third born aunt on your dad's side, that has a specific name, as opposed to the second born uncle on your mom's side. Like very different. What exactly is Aiba? Aiba is, as Jesse said, they're actually an AI, essentially a supercomputer, and Date's eyeball. When we playing Dead by Daylight on Coffee's birthday. Outlets for October, not me. Maybe Corpse, not me.
This is the same flower that was on display at Iris's house.
Yeah. How did you know? It's the same kind that's at my house. I told you about what it means, right?
Something hope and something good.
Good news and hope.
There we go.
Iris is also a part of the eye, and the Greek goddess of rainbows. A messenger goddess. I told you at Sunfish Pocket, right? That's why the flower means good news and hope. When you asked me why I became an idol, I wasn't being entirely truthful. I told you that it was because I wanted to become famous.
I just want to finish the day in this game, and then I can go on Discord and do bullshit.
But more specifically, it was for Uncle. I've been looking for him for 6 years, but I didn't find him anywhere. I didn't know where else to look. So instead of me finding him, I thought that he could find me instead.
You think if you became famous, he'd contact you?
Yeah.
What if it's the crazy nigga?
So that is why she became an idol.
Might be.
I mean, it's also been my dream since I was little. That's a part of it, too.
So why do you use the name Aset? Shouldn't you use your real name?
Oh no, I don't have to. He was the one who came up with the name Aset. He told me that if I ever became an idol, I should use that name.
Date, we have no time to waste. We should get moving.
Got it.
She got like 3 damn names. She really do. She goes by Iris, she goes by Tessa, she goes by Aset. Now we're meeting somebody at Marble. Mama told us earlier that there was somebody at Marble. They're gonna speak.
Hey, Mama, it's me.
Maybe he could see the future too, and he gave her the name Aset because he already knew that was gonna be her idol name. Perhaps. Like just like a weird like loop, and it's just like, I know you're gonna be a famous person. This is gonna be your stage name because that was your stage name when you were a famous person, and it's just like a weird loop of you have to take this name when you become famous, so that when I told you in the past or future, or it's getting into like timeline shenanigans, which I'm pretty sure we're getting closer to. Darn, I was hoping we could play tomorrow. I need more Survivor practice. Chris, I am not touching that game until October. Coffee asked to play for his birthday. That is perfectly fine with me. It's not getting touched till that day.
Dante, honey, what's up?
I'm heading over now.
Glad to hear it. Maybe I'll close the place a little early for you.
Sorry, but I'm with someone.
She's still with us? Send her home.
With someone?
A girl named Iris.
What? Is she a virgin?
Oh.
Huh?
I'm not gonna answer that.
Mm.
Anyway, remember what we talked about?
There's a regular here who was good friends with Ren. They should be here tonight. Oh, right.
Are they coming tonight?
Yes, I promise.
All right, then I'll see you there.
Okay, I'll be here.
How are you talking on your phone without earphones?
I was too lazy to explain it properly, so I came up with a lie.
I have an earpiece implanted in my ear.
Wow, cool!
Another call came in.
Date, it's the boss.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Okay, Dante, tell me the situation.
It's from this game? Corpse. It's from AI the Somnium Files, the first one, and not any of the... It's not the other 2 games. It's specifically the first game. Hmm. Okay.
Did you find number 89?
If I did, I would have told you.
Aha. I see.
Girl.
What was that about?
That was a cry from deep within my heart, Date. Do you realize how screwed I am? Go find number 89.
If I find Renju, I find number 89. I'm gathering information on Renju's whereabouts now.
Where?
I told her I was going to Marble with Iris, and about who I was expecting to see there.
Wait, are you trying to get her drunk?
Oh god.
She's not 21.
And if she wasn't a minor?
I don't like that you're silent at that part.
Hmm? Well, whatever. I'm sure you have a good plan. Find those two and arrest them. Got it?
So this is Golden Yokocho.
This is honestly all her fault for hiring his incompetent ass? Well, yes.
First time here?
Yeah.
Marble is right over here.
Date, on your 6. 2 suspicious individuals approaching.
Cutscene? Cutscene. Should we get shot?
Oh!
Date! Date!
Sniper?
Stay right there.
Okay.
Damn.
Who are they?
We can find out later. We need a way out of this.
Yeah, but...
I grab Iris. If I grab Iris and try to run, we'll be shot full of holes. The allies. I'm sorry, Corpse mentioned gay stuff, and my brain just went to that. The alleys between the buildings are blocked off. We can't go that way, which means...
Shit. We gotta take care of them.
I have reached the same conclusion.
But I've only got a single revolver.
I'm sorry, did they say porno mag vending machine? Go back.
Date, I have a plan. I will give you instructions. Just move as I tell you.
This better work.
Not to worry. My calculations are flawless.
What's the plan?
You see that hangar over there? Shoot the bottom of the hangar with a normal bullet.
Why?
Don't ask questions, just do it.
Bitch, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
Look at that. Like a gift from heaven.
Creeps. Some stiff ass panties.
Are they stupid?
Just as I calculated.
What kind of calculations did you do?
Date, focus! Now, the burst shot.
Okay, I did read that right. Porno magazine vending machine.
Shoot the porno mag vending machine.
Oh, and they just say it right here, just in case you missed it up there.
Pornomac?
I said no questions. Hurry! Shoot the vending machine with the burst.
Oh, so they're just horny beyond belief? Yeah, they are.
Hey, this is...
This is crazy! I've never seen anything like this before!
Coochie face in the world, y'all.
Yeah, they must be stupid.
You are too.
What?
You are.
The final step. But you don't have to do a thing.
Hello?
Mama? There's a group of naked buff guys dancing outside your bar.
There's... What?
Don't use my voice without permission.
This is an emergency. I will slap you if you don't shut up. Now, we're ready. We just need to use the fire extinguisher.
It's loaded with high-pressure CO2.
Now, I will leave your eye and throw the fire extinguisher in. Shoot the top of the extinguisher at the perfect time. Now let's go!
So cute.
Ready? Here I go. Ah!
Damn. Damn. Damn.
That's your message.
Oh, damn.
All according to my calculations.
What the fuck kind of calculations did you just do? He had a hit out on him? Period, non-binary icon. I love Mama.
This is...
My place. The building's got a security system. We'll be safe here.
So Mizuki's not home?
Doesn't look like it.
I checked her phone's GPS. Mizuki is currently at Sunfish Pocket.
It's getting late, but Sunfish Pocket should be safe. I'm sure the mermaids are taking good care of her. If anything, she'd be in more danger with us.
Iris, I need to talk to you about earlier. Have a seat wherever.
Oh yeah, but you know I was talking shit about how like Renju don't help with the bills or nothing. Like you see this piece of shit apartment. This is where him and his and this is where Dante and Renju's daughter has been living for 4 years. This is her bed. This is his bed, the couch. Not shit. Anyways. Please, I'm trying to click her.
Iris, those guys who tried to kidnap you. Do you have any idea who they were?
After a long silence, Iris spoke.
There's a reason I asked you to go on a date so many times. I wanted you to protect me.
You could have just said that.
I wanted a bodyguard.
You literally could have just
But
asked
I
that.
thought that if I told you the truth, you wouldn't believe me. That's why I didn't tell you. But now, I'll come clean. My life is being threatened by a secret society.
The Illuminati.
They're called the Nizet Laws.
The what? Let's get back to that. So the lady that's usually in the dreams with Date, is that Aiba? Yes, the one that looks like a shrimp, a fluorescent shrimp, is Aiba.
A group under the control of the Wadjet system. Their ultimate goal is to complete X00639. I discovered them and what they were up to, and now... Date, please help me!
The secret society name sounds like an experimental drug. It do. But also, she do look like a fucking fluorescent shrimp. Am I wrong?
They're going to kill me!
Wait. Slow down.
The pie lady?
Well, you know about the Wadjet system, right?
It's the core of artificial intelligence.
Do you know where it came from?
It was developed by the American tech conglomerate Elgorg.
It's missing a G, but that looked like Google.
But no specifics have been revealed.
Basically.
Thank God it's crazy. When you said she's gonna die, you kind of want her. Don't tempt us with a good time.
The Wadjet system artificial intelligence is from outer space. It was transmitted to Earth in binary, as radio waves. They were caught by the space dev team at Elgorg, and when they decoded it, they found that it was a truly incredible source code. That's the code they used to create the Wadjet system.
Is this true, Aiba?
It is patently ridiculous.
It's spelled Naixatloz. Sometimes they just call themselves the Nyes. They're deeply connected to the Wadjet system. Their organization is everywhere. International politics, business leaders, all operating in secret.
Actually, I'm starting to see why she didn't tell us, because what the fuck do you mean? What is all of this, girl?
In geosynchronous orbit around the equator, longitude 100 degrees east.
Because why? Geosynchronous? Why do you know that fucking word?
There's a satellite. It's about 150 feet long. Quite big for a satellite.
True. Most satellites are between 5 and 10 feet long. The International Space Station is roughly 330 feet long, so this satellite she is describing is about half as big.
It's always in the same place, and there's no doubt that it's man-made. But by who? And when it was launched, no one knows.
Also true. The first to discover this satellite was a space advocacy group in Japan. It was on the news for a short while. No one could identify it precisely.
Most people thought it was some secret US military satellite and that was it. But that's not the truth. X00639 is a super-powered radio transmitter.
Radio?
Transmitter?
But it's not complete. It's still being built. And that's what they're trying to do. That's what Wadjet wants them to do.
Okay, so all of this, she still didn't tell me who the fuck was at her door. The Wadjet system was built by decoding radio waves sent from outer space. A secret society called Niza, whatever the N that I was gonna say the N word, whatever that word means, knows the secret of the Wadjet system and obeys its will. The ultimate goal is to complete the radio transmitter satellite X00639.
I managed to learn that too. They're building X00639 so they can transmit their own data to a planet far away.
I heard you say it. Just look at my screen. Because I didn't know how to pronounce that. Like, she said it, but girl, I'm not remembering that. By the time I'll probably end up playing this more frequently, to be honest. So I probably will remember it, but still.
If they contact a sentient species, then the process will repeat itself again. That species will decode the signal, create an AI, then builds a radio transmitter. Because they're an AI, they can create copies of themselves for transmission. Doing this over and over means that Wadjet will eventually spread across the universe.
And after that?
After that,
Yeah. After they're spread all over space, what do they do next?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Well, why do humans have children? It's the same thing. Wadjet is alive. They want to spread across the universe. That's their destiny. Nyes and Wadjet have a mutually beneficial relationship. Wadjet can control stock prices. Nyes benefits from that. In return, Nyes helps Wadjet's ultimate goal. That's why Nyes is in militaries and corporations all over the world. To help build X00639.
Also, shoot, I am so sorry. This gives you, like, this whole, like, stream has been, like, I'm not gonna say a net zero of information, but it's compared to the information I was getting, like, in previous days in this game. I feel like I didn't learn too much of anything. I spent so much time with Iris and her talking about, like, just random ass conspiracy that I'm just, like, over it.
Let's say that one day Wadjet shows up on your computer screen. Hi guys, nice to meet you. Want to help us out? Do you really think humans would help? Most people would probably think their PC has a virus or something, or they'd panic and try to remove them. I don't know what would happen. I'm sure Wadjet made their own predictions. And they thought it was best to control certain parts of humanity from behind the scenes. But they needed some kind of direct influence. They can't build a satellite by themselves, right? That's why they created Nyset laws.
All right, I get it.
You do?
Not really, but she doesn't need to know that. But listening to your explanation, Nyes doesn't sound like a bad organization.
No, that's not true. Think of how much money and resources are going to Nyes. Think of how many people are suffering in poverty, and all the wars happening across the planet, and human trafficking and slavery.
Girl, they was gonna do that anyway. They've been doing that shit for years.
Nyes has the power and resources to put an end to all of that.
So do a lot of people, and it still doesn't change anything.
But they don't. They only care about themselves.
Yeah?
And they'll do anything to protect their own interests.
Yeah?
They'll kill if they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm being targeted.
But why?
Because I found out their secret.
Oh, whatever.
Well, I can't say yet.
Oh my god. Why can you not say it? You literally forced us to spend this entire fucking day with you. And you still cannot say?
But it's true. Believe me. Nyes is dangerous. You have to understand, Date. You saw my dead body.
Do you think that you were killed by Nyes in the parallel world?
Yes, I think so. You're the only person I can trust.
Her forcing you to get involved in her Daedra secret society manhunt, but then not telling you anything about it, like, girl, get out my house. No, exactly. It's just like, all right, cool. You're going to give me enough information that they can go after me now, but I have so little information that it's just like, okay, I'm putting my life in danger, and for what?
Please, don't leave me. You have to protect me.
Do I? Am I morally obligated? Maybe. Am I legally obligated? No. Iris's story is, well, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't believe a word of it. He really don't gotta do shit. He really don't. And it's like, if she wants you to protect her, but without the full, like, I really don't like Iris. But it is true that she was almost kidnapped by some mysterious group. And it's true that I saw her dead body in the cold storage warehouse. And if that happened in a parallel world...
Date, you can't tell me that you actually believe this.
Aiba, you use the Wadjet system too, right?
I buzz in on it.
So what if I do? Do you suspect me, Date? Do you think I'm an agent of Nyes?
Yes.
Fine. This can be solved easily. Why not look into her mind? Then you will discover if her story is true or not.
A sync? Of course.
I have to do a sync. Don't say that. If it's true, I'll be so shocked. I have to do a fucking sync. Okay, so the sync is the last thing I'm gonna do. I'm probably not even gonna be in Discord at this point. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it'd be. With Iris in the passenger seat, I headed back to Abyss. What if the whole sync technology is rigged anyways? Potentially. But really, I didn't want to take her there because the boss would be waiting.
The men who attacked us at Golden Yokocho were waiting for us. That means they knew we were coming. Why would that be?
Someone tipped them off?
Mama?
Who could have?
Someone who knew we were going to Marble.
That's right.
No, it couldn't be.
Boss.
Impossible.
I thought we were gonna blame Mama. We're blaming the boss?
Aiba, can you contact Pewter? I want to ask him something.
Understood.
Oh, Date. Do you need something?
Oh. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Ciao.
Where are you?
I'm out drinking in Shinjuku.
Period.
I was actually thinking of heading over to Golden Yokocho, but I heard something about a shootout. So the cops have it sealed off. Maybe a shootout between gangs or something? The world has become a dangerous place.
Pewter, I need to know something. Does a sync machine exist outside of Abyss?
If it does, I won't have to go to Abyss. I could just go there and sync with Iris. I thought Pewter might know, but...
There's only one sync machine in the entire world, and it's with us at Abyss. For now, anyway.
For now?
The Chiba Police Department was working on a prototype, but it was stolen 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Stolen?
Yes. It was being transported when it was attacked and then stolen by an armed group of men. The culprit is still on the loose. The device was never recovered either.
Aiba, were you aware of this?
No, this is new information. I was not even aware there was a prototype.
Pewter, where's Boss right now?
Not sure. I don't think she's at Abyss anymore. Maybe she went home?
So, neither you or Boss are at Abyss right now?
No.
Good. I can take Iris there without a problem.
Thanks, Pewter. See you later.
Sure thing.
Date, where are we going?
Inside your dreams.
What?
I'm gonna sync with you to determine if what you were telling me is true. And if it is true, I'll fulfill your wish.
My wish?
You don't remember? To become your bodyguard. Is that all right?
Yes, of course!
Honey, honey, I could be your bodyguard. Alright, this is gonna be bullshit. Just like Peter said, Boss is not there. Aiba knew exactly how to use the device. I followed her directions at the control console and prepared the machine quickly. Did I sneeze? No.
Date, this time, I will be remotely operating the sync.
Roger that.
Are you ready?
Yes.
The time limit is 6 minutes, as always.
I know.
Alright, let us begin.
Alrighty. What? Oh god. Her brain is Minecraft out.
What is this place?
She said you gonna play this fucking game one way or another.
It is difficult to move like this.
Why do you look like that?
I went with a simpler look today. I figured this world couldn't handle my full resolution.
Guess that's fine then. You can quit if you want, you know.
Never! I will never give up!
You don't have to take it that far.
In any case, it seems that we've finally arrived.
Is this world made of jelly cubes?
This is Shovel Forge.
Shovel Forge? I don't see any shovels, or forges.
Iris said that she was focused on streaming this game lately.
What's that got to do with forges?
Forget about the forges and listen! This Somnium is the world of Shovel Forge, a sandbox game in which you make and move cubes to create structures on a map.
I'm not playing this game.
On the contrary, you already are.
Oh, come on, I don't want to play.
Accept the reality, Date. You have no choice.
Good evening, good morning, and hello! It's Tessa, also known as Aset, you bet! I'm gonna be playing Shovel Forge today. Let's dive right in!
Oh my gosh, she's me.
Iris's Let's Play has begun.
Help me, Date! You have to help me!
Oh.
It's nice, they're coming! Find me, Date!
Oh, a pickaxe! Lucky!
What was that all about?
It appears that this Somnium will not be easy like the other ones.
The other ones were easy?
I didn't think the other ones were all that easy.
Thank you.
Are you ready? Let us begin.
Because that other one I had to do 3 times. If I fail this shit, the first time I'm looking it up immediately because I'm not doing that again.
Somnium scan. Activate.
Ooh, I know you see me standing here. Do I look good, my dear? Do I look good today? I look well. I've Zoe 101 is like one of those shows that I like really loved. Do I think it holds up today? I don't know. I haven't seen it in like 4 years at minimum. Alrighty. Funky music. Let's just go to this one first.
It's blocked, but it must be the outermost gate.
Investigate?
It doesn't seem as though we can get through here.
Aw, you raggedy motherfucker.
This doesn't look like a pickaxe, but that's what Iris identified it as.
40 seconds? Ugh. Goodbye.
This is a pretty avant-garde pickaxe.
Perhaps designed with glow sticks in mind.
A silver gate! Let's dig it up!
Like this? This is actually kind of fun!
Easy there. We've still got a job to do.
That pickaxe was dropped by someone being attacked by Nice. Be careful, Date. Nice might be after you too.
Did you get that?
I'll be the one being attacked.
Either way, all we have to do is listen to Iris and do what she says.
But which Iris? There appears to be two.
I guess both for now.
I think we'll find something if we dig there. Let's check it out!
It is a door, or perhaps a gate.
Everything looks like a block of tofu to me.
This must be where we use the pickaxe.
All right, just don't be too hasty.
A door or gate?
Okay, just like I always say, let's hit it!
Go, Iba!
Alright, here I go!
I got a rare material! Ooh, I knew today would be special!
This is kind of fun, isn't it, Iba?
Are we meant to do this the whole time? This is tiring.
The gate's open. Let's go.
Roger.
This is a new area.
And we cannot return to the previous one.
Where else can I dig?
Alright, switch to iPad since I should be asleep for class tomorrow. No problem.
We gotta find something to dig up.
She worse than my little cousin that was begging me to play Minecraft with him. Wait. I do beg people to play games, so I'm not gonna say anything.
Am I meant to dig everywhere?
Oh? There's another split. There's a split down here. I thought it was straight down. There's a random split down here.
I have questions.
Yes.
A crafting table.
That's a big stick of imitation crab.
It must be a vending machine.
Happy digging.
Roger.
I got a lot of materials that time. Good haul today. Be sure to like and subscribe, and to retweet everyone.
Would you rather eat a bowl of nails or used band-aids?
Hey, Iba.
Yes?
Is this golden yokocho?
I decline to answer. I'll give you your points back and everything. I'm not answering that.
Indeed. It appears to be modified, but it probably is based on golden yokocho.
This is where we were attacked.
What is torture your soul so deeply to ask such a question? That's a good question, Shu.
Look, Date!
What is that?
Uh-oh, an elite is coming. But it's okay. I've got the feeling we can do it!
Project Bluebeam! Nice is trying to kill me! You have to
But what are we supposed to do?
dance!
Dance?
Use the most beautiful art form humanity has ever created. The power of dance! They may have money and power, but they'll never take our beating hearts! Dance is the only way to fight the Wadjet system in Nice!
Using this material, we can make a disco ball. Let's build the disco ball, and then it's dancing time.
What do you think, Iba?
Shovel Forge is not a dancing game, but
That's not what I'm talking about.
Nyes does not exist.
But I don't think Iris is trying to mislead me.
What you think does not change the facts. Now, we have to decide our next move.
For now, we need to find somewhere to craft the disco ball.
I found a crafting table!
Something that...
It seems you can create items other than disco balls.
But we need to make the disco ball now. That's what the viewers are expecting.
Understood. Done.
That was anticlimactic.
Okay, we gotta dance for real now. Give it your best dance moves, everybody!
Do the branching paths only happen in Somnium? I'm starting to think that they only happen at the end of, like, Somniums.
What should I do?
Dance, Date! Fight against Nice with the power of dance!
Iba, dance! You have to dance!
Okay, if I must.
This is a very serious game, by the way. Come out, Angles! You remember I said I know for a fact that we was gonna be singing that dance again? Yeah.
Fight Nice for sure! I'm not afraid of them as long as you're here.
Yeah, good.
Huh? Well, I don't know how, but we defeated that big guy! Oh, a rare drop! Awesome! Let's see how far we can get today. Let's go, everyone! Onward!
Please defeat Nice! I know you can do it, Date!
Alright, let's go, Iba.
A hot head is not what we need in this situation.
Not that. Monitor F.
Iris's live stream is showing on the monitor.
All right, let's head to
it's that gate? Not that way. This way.
They could have put a nameplate on it or something.
It is blocked, but this must be the exit for Golden Yokocho. Understood. I suppose we can't dig here.
Seems like it.
Iris's live stream. This appears. I believe I can dig it up with.
Then let's get digging.
Roger. This appears to be another gate.
Do it.
Leave it to me.
For context, I want you to know they want me to mash that button.
Got the material.
Let's move on. This is a spacious area.
Is that marble?
Those flowers are winter irises.
They're wilted.
Whoa, this place is huge! How are we gonna check everything? Maybe I can make something with the materials I have. Okay? Okay!
Another crafting table.
At least you don't have to do any more digging.
Date, do you see that shrine?
Shrine.
That's humanity's last hope against Nice. Save us from the oppression of technology. Return the stone monument to the pedestal at the shrine. We should have all the materials we need to craft the stone monument. Please, Date, you're the only one who can save me. You're the only one who can save this world.
Only me?
Date.
I'm the only one who can save her.
Hey, Date.
What?
Is following Iris's plan really the best idea?
I don't know, but I feel like we're getting closer to the truth.
Really?
Let's go with it a little longer.
I suppose we can. I will follow along for now.
Kiss my ass, Iris.
There's a crafting. Iris said that all the materials should be here, but
What's that on the floor next to the table?
this is the egg that came out of the vending machine earlier.
An egg! We can use this.
Okay, build the monument with that.
There you have it, Iba.
Understood. Done.
You could have given it a little more oomph.
Specifications for oomph not found.
Please take the monument to the shrine. You can make miracles, Date.
Got it. Leave it to me, Iris.
Are you going to continue doing whatever Iris tells you?
Iba, I get where you're coming from, but I want to believe her.
I see. If that is what you believe, then I will obey. I exist to support you, Date. Let's bring this to the shrine.
Yeah, let's go.
This appears to be a pedestal. Understood.
The wilted irises blossomed.
What?
There were dead flowers outside. What happened to them?
Oh, wow!
This is...
Miracle.
In the language of flowers, the iris means good news and hope. The fact that you believed in me is good news. And Date, you are my hope.
I'm your hope?
You might be able to use it now, Date.
Use what?
There's something around the flowers. Another rare drop?
I suppose we dig here.
Right.
color of this floor is slightly different.
I'm not muted. I'm just like trying to figure out what the fuck's going on.
All right, try digging.
Understood.
And also, I'm tired. I've been here for like 4 hours. Oop! I forgot. I'm supposed to mash this. Sorry. Damn, bitch!
What is this? Is it on the wiki? I'm gonna go check. Give me a second.
8 more? Haha. That's 8 more hours. That'd be like around when I'm supposed to wake up for work. No, thank you.
Oh, I get it. It's a love bomb.
An item of that description is not in the game.
Oh, okay, 12. You're...
Let's fight for the future with the power of love.
If you use this, you might be able to find
Shit,
it.
hopefully by 2 a.m. I'm done. I probably will not do this again after work, like in between days. So not tonight. This will be uploaded. This will be uploaded maybe on the 5th or something. And then maybe play it on Saturday. But I'm not doing this shit after work again. I work Saturday. Well, I work like a couple hours Saturday, don't matter.
Use it? How?
You need to dance, Date.
Oh, that's right.
Again? Haven't I danced enough already?
This is to save Iris. Please, just bear with it for now.
All right. I'll just use this bomb somewhere over there, I suppose?
Yeah, try it.
Over where? Over where? Babes, wait, no, which direction am I going? Debris? Okay.
We cannot move forward with the debris in the way.
No.
Around here?
Yeah.
Dance, baby, dance!
Do you want me to dance?
Not really, but you got to.
Please.
Huh?
What?
Oops. Looks like I messed that up, didn't I? Okay, well, guess I'll just die and restart.
No.
Where is this place?
Okay, let's regroup and keep going.
As a video game character, experiencing death again and again is wearing me down.
Iris is further away from us now.
So when will you stop believing her?
Date, can you see that shrine?
Iris, I'm sorry. Did we make a mistake?
No, you haven't.
What's going on?
Are we supposed to go that direction?
Iris? Are you there?
Oh, y'all look scary. Back up a little bit.
Something big is coming. Okay, this guy's gonna be the final boss for today.
No, stop! Stay away!
Iris!
Nice is coming. Date, help me!
Huh? Sorry, everyone. My PC is acting weird.
Iris is in trouble. Is there any way to save her?
Date, this is Somnium. It cannot affect the real world.
That's not true. I saved Iris in Somnium once. If I don't save Iris here, Iris
They
in the
look
real world is
crazy.
in danger.
Either way, we do not have the power to fight against the UFO. If you want to help Iris, we need to find a way.
What can we do?
Lord, I've used so much time. And I'm probably gonna have to do this again, to be honest.
A mirror door.
60 seconds? Babes. Come on.
It's a pyramid.
Climb? Fuck it.
Can we be rational and look at my—
Your feet look like—
Do you think—
It's worth a try.
Then I will try.
Oh.
You see?
You look pretty. Like a goldfish. Sorry, I'll get serious.
Please do. It's a pyramid. We no longer have a pickaxe.
Right.
A mirror. What?
The power of dance. The most dance is the only way to beat Nyes in the Wadjet system. The reason why your reflection isn't shown in the mirror is because of Nyes. You're a threat to their existence. They're trying to erase you and—
Date.
Please, do it!
Understood. I'll do it.
Teacups that are flying, mystifying. You'll think that I'm lying. This old tale of mine, a journey through time. A permanent fire, cold frost on the pyre. Fruit never expires. You've seen
I don't like looking at them. Now.
while the old bow their heads, while the blind meet the blind, the marble loses shine. The eye clouds by design, but we know in our soul the one hope, the one truth, that if we believe we can make miracles. Even with the devils of time,
Imagine.
never let the fire fade in you. See the golden goddess with wings of rainbows, sail through the night sky to
Imagine asking someone to play this game and then just showing them this scene, no other context. Even with context, I still don't know what's going on.
It's... Thank you for finding me, Date.
Iris!
Believe me!
Belief. 350. Fuck it. Whatever. What the fuck ever. Whatever.
Please. Please trust me.
Iba, touch the core.
She looks. I don't.
Date.
She doesn't look trustworthy right there for some reason. Hmm? You believed Iris. I got an achievement. We're still on day 4. This is crazy. 4 hours of this. The sync from earlier touched my heart in a way that will always linger. All doubt was removed from my mind. I was determined.
Iris, I'm sorry that I doubted you.
Hmm?
I believe you. Wadjet, Nyes, X00639.
Are you serious?
And like I said, I'll fulfill your wish. From this moment on, you're under my protection.
Then...
Yeah, I'm your bodyguard. I'll protect you with my life, Iris.
Date! Thank you! Thank you so much!
Date, are you delusional?
You're going to help too, right, Iba?
My mission is to support you.
Good. And thank...
Fuck, she's not gonna die. She's gonna live a little bit longer.
What? You stayed at a hotel with Tessa?
It was a business hotel.
It was a 2-bedroom.
Don't say misleading things. We got 2 rooms, each with 2 beds.
We did bathe together, though.
No, we didn't.
What?
Isn't your gang supposed to be clean?
Why are you here anyway?
I told Moma about the attack by the Nyes.
I see. I heard about the shooting in Golden Yokocho last night, but I never thought it'd be you.
God damn it.
Hey, if you get tired, you can sit on my lap, okay?
Oh. Oh.
Oh, well, in that case.
Not you!
Oh, I ain't gonna lie. I thought he was talking about us too. He's still weird.
Unfortunately, I don't have anything new for you. But, I did find out a little nugget of info you might want to hear.
What is it?
I'll tell you, but, Date, come over here.
Again with this?
With his arm over my shoulder, Moma led me to the corner of the room.
I'll tell you, Date, but you gotta do something for me.
You want to shake her hand again?
No. I did that already. I want to see her panties.
Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Go. Go. Go.
I'm sorry?
I want to see Tessa's panties. I really want to see. You gotta let me get a peek.
She's not gonna let you.
Well, can you at least ask?
Unbelievable.
Moma and I went back to where we were. Him begging for these drawers and stuff. Very unserious.
Iris, could you do me a favor?
Hmm?
This guy wants to see your panties.
She hit me hard.
That's messed up, Date. I know Momo would never say that. Right, Momo?
Yeah, of course! Date, you! Evil pervert!
Seriously?
You just want a handshake, right?
Yeah, exactly. I tried to tell him.
Wow. Iris took Moma's hand and shook it.
Date, this is the happiest day of my life.
I thought that was yesterday. Anyway, what's this intel you got?
Check it out. Friday night near Bloom Park, someone saw Renju.
Friday night?
That's when Shoko was killed.
Obviously, that's not enough to pin the crime on him, but it does prove he was there.
I guess we should check the merry-go-round again.
The police have already thoroughly searched it, and we've been there more than once before on our investigation.
But we might have missed something, right?
When you told me you were coming, I made them leave. I can't let them see me with Tessa. Sorry, never heard of them. Are they even real?
Yes!
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course. I've always known, deep down there, must be some kind of secret organization. Always known it. Anyway, I got some info about the shootout. Those guys aren't affiliated with any criminal organization we're aware of. They're not Mafia, or Yakuza, or anything. They must have been hired guns. By... Niza... Mattis.
It's Nizit laws! Maybe Mr. Okiura was a part of NICE.
What?
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking out loud.
What makes you think that?
When we were at Sunfish Pocket, my friend said... he was looking for Iris. And then later, I almost got kidnapped by NICE. Was that just a coincidence? And not just that. When you found my corpse in the parallel world, you found it in an Okiura warehouse. Whoever killed me in that world was probably affiliated with NICE. That makes me think the Okiuras and NICE are connected. Maybe NICE ordered Mr. Okiura to help Number 89 escape. And Number 89 is an assassin. If he wanted to get rid of me, Mr. Okiura must have...
If that's true, it could be related to Shoko's murder. Shoko must have found out about the organization. They killed her for getting too close, then displayed the body as a warning.
It all comes back to NICE. Once we saw the mystery of NICE, everything will fall into place. Or so I thought.
If you want to know more about NICE, why not ask Ota? Remember what he said yesterday?
I swear to God, if they send me somewhere else, I'm just ending it. I'm ending it all.
I know about conspiracies and secret societies too.
Can we ask
I
tomorrow?
find that stuff fascinating.
Good point. He might have more information for us.
There are 3 places we can go. First, Bloom Park. I'm curious about Renju being seen there Friday. Second, Matsushita Diner. I want to ask Ota more about NICE. And third, the Sejima Estate. Sejima was probably the one responsible for Iris's murder in the parallel world. We'll kill Iris next time. Child, this whole thing was crazy. In which case, he might be a part of Nice. It's just like this seems like such bullshit. I'm gonna believe her just for shits and giggles, but it just seems like such bullshit.
Let's go, Iris.
Oh, yeah!
You're taking Tessa with you? She'll be safer here.
I can't do that. I made her a promise. I will be Iris's garter belt.
Nigga?
What?
Sorry. I meant bodyguard.
A Freudian slip, no doubt.
Iris just lying for no reason. It seems very psychosis-y.
Well, whatever.
It does.
But if you're gonna leave, you should take this with you.
Give it a gun? Moma. I keep calling him Momo. It's Moma. Opened his desk and took out a small object.
What's this?
GPS? Tracking chip?
A GPS transmitter.
Moma, Iris's phone already has GPS.
I know, but in case she gets caught and they throw away her phone or something, it's just an extra precaution. Put it somewhere they won't find it.
Thank you.
I hope it'll be useful. Date, if anything happens to her, I'll make sure you regret it for the rest of your life.
It'll be fine, relax.
Oh, you got me fucked up. Anyways, you have me fucked up. I played 4 hours of this game today. They still want me to do shit. It says day 5, and I know it's because like in the game it's technically the next day. So I'm gonna treat it as if it's the next day and stop there because I don't care. This was a longer stream.